Oh, don't do it. Don't tease me like this, John Sherman. I love you, man. I really do. But don't tease us. Just let it rest. 6:04, good morning. It is great to be here on a Tuesday on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. We're always streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app as we get the show underway. So, Royals owner John Sherman talked to the media yesterday from Arizona down in spring training and looked beautiful. Everybody was just, oh boy, great time of year, baseball, crack of the bat, here in the glove, the whole deal. But John Sherman, of course, getting asked yesterday about the future of the Royals Stadium. Where's this thing going to go? What are the plans? Everyone's sick of it. Give me something good. Here's what John Sherman in part had to say yesterday.
Thoughts on Mayor Lucas saying that he wants to keep the team in downtown, and that's his stated goal for 2026.
Well, I appreciate him working, and I appreciate that he's working very hard at the end. So I appreciate the work he's doing. You know, we're not settled yet anywhere, but I would tell you, I don't think we're that far away.
Oh, no. Oh, no. The dreaded words. I don't think we're that far away. Has FanDuel set any over-unders on dates here, Mark, on what that exactly might mean?
I think that it already passed the date from 2.5 years ago. So I think we're already over.
I think
we hit.
Yeah, we hit the over, baby. Let's go. Woo! Oh, my gosh.
We're going to have to start making new odds, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an in-game bet, you know. You got to keep it going. Got to stay active. So you had this yesterday from John Sherman. And listen, I hope he's right. I want him to be right. I do think while there are so many mistakes that have been made throughout the process by the Royals, not just from the standpoint of the process itself, but the communications throughout the process, that people are they're just done with it, right? I do believe and continue to believe that John Sherman genuinely wants what is in the best interests of Kansas City. He has never threatened to move this team. Now, he's used both sides of the state line against each other. Fine. You know what? That's on the politicians, not on him. But, man, to hear John Sherman yesterday say we're not that far away, I'm like, I'm not sure I'd go there because we've heard that one before. Oh, geez. But he did go on the note that it seems like Missouri, after losing the Chiefs to Kansas, did re-engage in a way that actually is likely to work out for the Royals for the better.
When the Chiefs made this announcement, there was a whole new wave of enthusiasm. So I don't mean that they weren't working hard, but there's a lot of effort being put forth, and we're still evaluating Kansas. We're still evaluating multiple locations in Missouri, but I do appreciate the effort that's being put forth, not only by the mayor, but by the governor.
Notice how he gave Governor Kreighauser a shout-out there. Because you know what's going to happen, right? If they pick downtown Kansas City, which seems like it is the odds-on favorite right now to land the Kansas City Royals, Mayor Q's going to do a victory lap. His legs might be so tired he's going to do such a big victory lap. But a lot of this behind the scenes has been worked on by, yes, the governor, Mike Kehoe. He was very active in trying to keep the Chiefs, and the Chiefs ultimately made a different decision. But he also has been very active in this process in trying to make sure that the Royals stay in the state of Missouri. Because if you're looking at this from a pure economic benefit perspective, and your goal, if you're Mike Kehoe, is to make sure that downtown Kansas City remains a hub of commerce, of business, of tourism, a Royal Stadium can help. Now, listen, that Washington Square Park location still concerns me, and I know concerns a lot of you from an ingress-egress perspective and just, trying to fit in what you need there. It is a small location. What happens to Crown Center? What does that look like? Does that just get totally revamped? Do the Royals get a piece of that? I think there could be an element to that leads into what their future plans are if they pick that site. North Kansas City still hanging out there, but let's be honest. I think Clay County is on the outside looking in right now. And then he said, Kansas is not done. Listen, I think that, and I'm not saying John Sherman's wrong to note that. I just think he's saying that mostly because he probably has to. It's good to keep a line of communication open. Why not? But I don't think there's any there anymore on the Kansas side of the state line. John Sherman, since day one, has said, I have an affinity for downtown baseball. The Crossroads location from almost 2 years ago now was a fine location. It was just poorly handled by everybody, from the city to the team to the county. But this may end up actually being a pretty darn good backup option, certainly a lot better than 119th and Null would have ever been. I thought the Northland had some potential, but there have been some roadblocks along the way that just feel like that North Kansas City spot has been forever in second place. So now you hope, and Mayor Q said on this show last week, end of spring training, that's my goal. That's when he wants an announcement for a new Royal Stadium. So I guess maybe that's our new over-under date. So that would be what? Maybe the end of March, give or take, 5-6 weeks. I don't think and you know what? Maybe I'm going to look like the sucker in all this, but I don't think we're far off either. I'm going to say it. I don't think we're far off because the options have dwindled. And the options have dwindled for the better. But like everything else, the devil's going to be in the details like it is with the Chiefs deal. That is what it's going to be about. Now, while I'm on the topic here, we told you yesterday, and you well know, the massive drama involving Jerome Tang and the Kansas State Wildcats. You've got the former Kansas State head coach now fired, right? And Kansas State is trying to fire him for cause, meaning they don't want to pay the $18 million buyout that Jerome Tang has left on his contract. Well, yesterday, Jerome Tang retained Tom Mars, big-time attorney, to represent him. He is going to war with Kansas State. Tom Mars put up on social media yesterday, it seems to me that making false statements and innuendo about a head coach for the specific purpose of avoiding a school's buyout obligation would constitute actual malice. Tom Mars also telling On3 Sports, we'll give K-State's president and AD a few days to regain their senses before we pull the trigger. Kansas State has opened up a massive can of worms. They have screwed this thing up so poorly, led by their athletic director, Gene Taylor, who has a press conference the other night after they fired Jerome Tang, says we're firing him for cause, and blames a press conference last week after they get blown out by Cincinnati by 30 points. And Jerome Tang says, I don't think these dudes deserve to be in a K-State uniform. And somehow that's now a for-cause firing? This is really pathetic from Kansas State athletics. It is low, and I'm not even a Jerome Tang guy. I don't much care. I mean, the guy was a bad basketball coach, okay? He had a good year with Bruce Weber's players, and then you started to really see what kind of head coach Jerome Tang was. But I am now rooting for him to get every last penny out of Kansas State because of how this thing has been handled on Kansas State's end. According to the Mercury out there in Manhattan, they told Tang, hey, you can coach out the season and then we'll figure out a reduced buyout from the $18 million or we'll fire you now for cause. If I'm Jerome Tang, I'm taking the same offer. You want to fire me for cause? Go ahead, do it. Let's see how this thing plays out in court. Let's roll the dice on this, big guy. They basically gave him two options, neither of which were a really suitable one. Hey, keep coaching, finish out the season, and then we'll pay you less money than we owe you. Excuse me? Or we can pay you now, or we can fire you now and not pay you anything. No, that's not going to work there, fellas. That's not going to work. This is really, Kansas State has put themselves in a real bind because, by the way, who's going to want the job? You get to treat coaches like this? Who's going to want the job? It is a terrible look for Kansas State athletics right now. The best thing they can do is say, you know what? We screwed this thing up. Here's your check. Go away. We'll see you later, John.
Do we have they fired the guy that fired the guy story coming?
Yeah, that's right. We may have something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Gene Taylor's the one who, at this point, as Keatsman has been saying forever, should probably be the one getting fired. And after his display the other night, you know what? I'm on board with that 110%. Coming up on KCMO Talk Radio. So a lot of drama in one of our area jurisdictions over a data center being proposed. The why behind it and what we know at this point we'll tell you about coming up next on KCMO Talk Radio.
From Lenexa to Lee Summit, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Let's go to Independence, where residents are dealing with exactly what we talked about in Olathe 2 weeks ago tonight. They're getting to have their voice be heard, but no one's going to do anything about it. It's not going to move the needle. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I would love to be wrong about this, but we see this song and dance every single time with these city councils. So in Independence, they're looking at putting a big old data center, 400-acre data center, $156 billion, being built off Little Blue Parkway and Highway 78. The Dutch company behind the proposal, Nebius, could be getting tax breaks from the city as part of the incentives for the project. So there's two things here before I play the clip from Channel 4, or 41, excuse me. It's not just like, are incentives good? It's not just an incentive conversation. It's also, is a data center a good investment for Independence? It's one thing if this company just said, hey, we want to buy this land and build a data center here. That's part one of this. Is that good for Independence? Part two of this is then, does the city of Independence want to subsidize this data center going in to where it's going to go, potentially? And there were protesters out there last night. Well, there were supporters and there were naysayers last night at the Independence City Hall meeting. They're going to vote on this coming up in a couple of weeks. But here's what it sounded like on Channel 41 last night. They were reporting on this.
We, the citizens, are tired of broken promises and tired of feeling ignored by our city officials.
While many others hope Independence takes advantage of an opportunity for new construction jobs.
I don't know who in the world would turn down $150 billion worth of work. I know Kansas will take it. They took the Chiefs Stadium. We have to fight for this. We have to make this happen.
And tax revenue for schools.
Independence School District is projected to receive approximately nearly $500 million.
It's the same playbook, guys. It's the same exact playbook. It's like they just went right through the Olathe playbook. Oh my gosh, the construction jobs. I'm pretty sure that between data centers, stadiums, and practice facilities, we're out of construction jobs. I mean, what's a data center? I was looking it up this morning. The average data center is about 3,000 construction jobs. Tack that onto the 20,000, and that's a very lofty number the Chiefs are claiming to build their new facilities. We're out of construction jobs. We're tapped out. Nothing else can be built in Kansas City for the next few years outside of a data center in Independence and Chiefs Stadium. We don't have those jobs. But anyway, you hear the same old thing. We got to fight for the new construction. Oh, the jobs out of the construction. You mean the guys, if they already live in the Independence area, you're not creating any new taxes out of? The guys who bring their lunch pails to work, make the lunch at home, eat it on the job site, and then go home to wherever they live? That's not new revenue for a city. It's not. It's not for Independence. It's not for Olathe. It's not for Wyandotte County. And then you have the schools. It's always about the schools. Oh, boy, it's going to bring $500 million into the independent schools. And it never actually lowers your taxes, does it? It doesn't. I mean, Olathe is trying to jam through a $400 million bond issue right now. That's what's happening today. I got my ballot in the mail. I'll get to that momentarily. But, that's going on too. They're never lowering your taxes. If the data center is going to bring in $500 million to the schools, by the way, is that like between now and 2100, or what's the timeline on that? They never tell you that. They just put out the big number. It's going to lead to $500 million for the schools. So there's the incentive angle of this, and whether or not it's a good investment of city revenue to build a data center. And then there's just the issues that have come out of these data centers. And they're multi-layered. First off, they don't create a lot of jobs after construction. The average data center employs anywhere from 30 to 100 people despite occupying massive land areas. So you're not actually generating any revenue from new workers that are permanently on the site beyond the temporary construction jobs. You have oftentimes high water usage. that can raise sustainability concerns in communities. You have heavy, heavy power consumption with these projects. I mean, data centers can use as much electricity as small cities. This can strain local grids, increase energy costs, and that can hurt the people who live in that area of Independence. So these things are not slam dunks. Kansas City, Missouri has 30 of them around. And yes, I know we need data centers to some degree. I'm not trying to live in the 18th century here. But at the same time, if you want them to come, if they want to build, at the very least, just say, okay, we'll approve the zoning to have you build there. But we're not going to double down on a bad deal for Independence or Kansas City or Wyandotte County while we're at it. We're not going to double down on this thing. And that's what the push is from some in Independence. But I get there's also people who are like, hey, I don't want this around here. And I understand that too to some degree. You live out in that part of town, you think it's kind of quiet and sleepy, and now you're stuck with 2 years worth of construction for a data center that's going to be a nice humming noise in your backyard 24/7, 365. Can't wait for that. So this is something that, a lot of you right now on the text line saying, Pete, don't forget they'll have to build the electrical capacity into the construction. That's above my pay grade. But yes, they got to figure out a way in that part of Independence to make sure that they have the electrical capacity that they need to fund the data center.
For a little bit.
It has been?
In the independent side, but not other places, obviously.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. 2 weeks from now is when they're going to vote on this thing. It'll be on Tuesday, March the 3rd, is when the city council will take that up. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, speaking of votes and schools and hundreds of millions of dollars, I got my ballot last night on the Olathe Schools project, and they want this thing to be mail-in only. And I was talking to some people in the Kansas City political space who are convinced this thing is going to pass. And I said that from day one last week when we started talking about this thing. A mail-in ballot vote on a bond project that they're able to pitch as no tax increases. They never tell you that if you vote this thing down, you could very well see a tax decrease. They don't bring that part of it up because why do that, right? But mail-in ballot, March, people not paying attention. Oh, no tax increase. Sure, I love the kids. I love the schools. All while Olathe admits they have lost 7 to 8% of their enrollment since 2019 when they peaked on school enrollment, despite the fact that the population of Olathe has increased 8% over that period of time. And they want another $400 million. You have got to be kidding me. That in and of itself should be reason enough to say, no, you're doing fine with what you've got. You haven't grown enrollment. You've lost students. Prove to us that you're worth it. But we don't do that when it comes to these kinds of votes and projects because it emotionally gets all about the kids. News in 2 minutes, and we're back with a tragedy that unfortunately is eerily similar to other tragedies next.
You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM KCMO.
So there was a tragic shooting yesterday. It took place in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And the shooter, identified as Robert Dorgan, who also identified as Roberta Esposito, killed himself after opening fire at the Pawtucket ice rink where his son was playing on Monday afternoon. And there's a lot that we are learning about this person's social media footprint, the things that they were posting on social media, and the fact that this person, Robert, a.k.a. Roberta, had transitioned in 2020. Now, this person's own daughter talked to local television in Boston yesterday, and here's part of what the daughter had to say.
My family. And he's dead now.
What was the reasoning? Was there a family argument?
He has mental health issues. So.
The daughter saying that her father had mental health issues. Well, no kidding. And that used to be what we were all allowed to say out loud, and now for some reason, some people can't. You had a shooting in Canada last week that we talked briefly about. An 18-year-old high school dropout, Jesse Van Rootselaar, who murdered his own mother and stepbrother before gunning down 6 others at his former school in Canada. An 18-year-old who also happened to be transgender. Does this mean that everybody who transitions is going to be a mass shooter? No, that's not what this means. Okay? That's not what I'm trying to point out and get across. But there's enough there right now that when you see, whether it's what happened in Nashville, you have these 2 incidents in the last week alone. You have this issue being tied to the Charlie Kirk assassination as well. At some point, you have things that stack up, similarities in a lot of these shootings, and you have to ask yourself what's going on and what's leading to this. Is it the mental health of the individuals? Is it potentially the drugs that individuals are being put on? What is it? But there's something there. And to act like there isn't, and to act like this is really about Americans and their access to guns or something, is whistling right past the graveyard, is what this is. And you've got too many examples of this now where you've got to be willing to at least acknowledge there appears to be a problem and a conversation needs to be had. Whether it's in Rhode Island, here in Kansas City, or anywhere else. And this is another tragedy that took place yesterday. The fatal victims of Monday's shooting include the mother of Dorgan's hockey player's son, the student athlete's sibling. This according to WPRI television up there in Rhode Island. And, you have a lot of photos of this individual floating around there on social media you can find for yourself. The ex filed for divorce in 2020 on grounds of gender reassignment surgery, narcissistic and personality disorder traits, according to the court filings obtained by the local outlet. The split between Robert and his wife finalized in 2021. Police believe that Dorgan was targeting his own family when he wreaked havoc at the ice rink yesterday following years of heated court disputes over his identity. So this is all about this singular issue. That's what it's all about. And to deny that, I'm looking at NBC News. How did they frame this? Headline, 2 killed and 3 injured in shooting at a Rhode Island hockey high school game. Of course, you got to get down to the 6th paragraph before you see the suspect identified by police as Robert Dorgan, who also went by Roberta. CNN put this behind a paywall. I wonder what that's all about. Hey, I want to go to CNN.com and learn about the shooting in Rhode Island. Sorry, you got to be a CNN Plus member to read about that. Wait, it's just a straight news story. But I can see the first paragraph, even though I'm not a subscriber. And the first paragraph on CNN's website reads, a youth hockey game was violently interrupted Monday when the sound of gunfire echoed inside a packed ice rink in Rhode Island, leaving at least 2 people dead and 3 others injured. They act like the gun just showed up and went off. A hockey game was interrupted when the sound of gunfire echoed? What, did they play the sound of gunfire over the loudspeaker? What does that mean? A game was interrupted when the sound of gunfire echoed. No, somebody shot their weapon who was motivated by their hatred for their own children and their own ex-wife due to decisions that they had made in their life. I mean, that is the worst intro to a news story I have ever read. The sound of gunfire echoed inside a packed ice rink. Are you kidding me with that, CNN? No wonder. They should be ashamed. That's why they put it behind the paywall. They should be ashamed by that kind of news story. Wow. So as this story continues to unfold, I guarantee you it will get buried, okay? This is not going to go beyond today. This will be here for a little bit maybe, although there's a lot of other focuses this morning on the national news media side on things like the death of Jesse Jackson. That gives them cover. They will not touch this thing. There is no doubt in my mind. Now, what do we know about the latest on the Nancy Guthrie case? So this thing is also getting weirder by the day. We have DNA from the recovered glove undergoing lab testing, according to the FBI. An FBI official told Fox News that DNA recovered from a glove believed to be tied to the suspect in the Nancy Guthrie case is still undergoing quality control testing at a sheriff's private lab in Florida after being sent from Tucson on February 12th. Now, this brings up a conversation we had last week. Why was the glove sent to Florida when the FBI says we can test it right here in Arizona? Why? Like, that is grounds for not having your job. If the Pima County Sheriff is the guy who's making that call, I mean, this guy has embarrassed himself enough over these last 2+ weeks or so. That right there, the FBI says, don't worry, we got it. No, we're going to ship this thing off to Florida. What? Dan Bongino, who you may recall, was on Fox News last night, used to work at the FBI. Here's what he had to say.
The cooperation here has not been spectacular. I mean, the decision to send this DNA sample to a private lab was just disastrous. I mean, I'm not telling you that this is this never happens. It does happen. The problem is the FBI does not typically accept DNA once the sample is properly processed from private labs. It has to be typically an accredited forensics lab. So what you're looking at now is another delay, as the private lab will likely have to send it back to Arizona to submit it into CODIS. So it was just unnecessary. I don't see what this sheriff, and again, in the Monday morning quarterbacking, whatever, we're trying to find an 84-year-old lady, who was the subject of an unspeakable tragedy, it appears at this point. What the hell, man? I mean, just send it to the FBI lab. Why introduce another variable you don't need in this?
That was Bongino last night on Fox, and he's right. Why bother? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Now, the other part of this that's getting attention yesterday, Sheriff Nanos put out a statement saying, to be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in the case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it's cruel. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. Please, I'm begging you, the media, to honor your profession and report with some sense of compassion and professionalism. I mean, this guy's a joke. This guy's such a joke.
He's famous internationally. Rita Panahi on Lefty's Losing It. It's a Sky News Australia YouTube thing. She's all over it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, he
Same
should
stuff.
be. He should be embarrassed worldwide as far as I'm concerned.
Touche.
All right? Because this is the same guy over the weekend. It was Sunday. Sheriff told the Daily Mail that nobody's been cleared. Now, 24 hours later, it's like, don't worry, the whole family's cleared. It's all good.
I was like, we're a little late with that statement, aren't we?
Well, yeah. Especially when
come up with that sooner.
24 hours earlier, you said no one's been cleared. Now, I'm not suggesting some grand conspiracy theory. I know that early on, Ashley Banfield, who used to work on News Nation, came out and suggested that Savannah Guthrie's brother-in-law may have been a suspect in the case. I'm not suggesting he is or isn't. It's just to highlight how poorly Sheriff Nanos has handled this case from the get-go. And it's clear to me that there is obvious beef between Pima County and the feds. And whether or not this ties back to a RICO investigation going back almost 10 years now by the feds into Pima County, I don't know. I can't speak to what their motivation is. But it seems pretty obvious that these sides are not working well together. And now, with this missing persons case getting global attention in a third week, the only thing that's been consistent is the incompetency in Pima County. Coming up, our 6 at 6, top 6 stories in the 6 o'clock hour, we will get to next right here on KCMO Talk Radio.
from Leawood to Liberty. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
6:49. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. If you had the day off yesterday, well, welcome back. It probably feels like Monday, but we were here. We were at it. So it's a regular Tuesday on KCMO Talk Radio. Let's roll it.
It's time for the 6 at 6 on KCMO Talk Radio. Number 1.
Jesse Jackson died early this morning at the age of 84 years old, a protege of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., a two-time presidential candidate who led the civil rights movement for decades. And it was confirmed by his daughter that he died at his home early this morning, surrounded by family. Jesse Jackson dead at the age of 84 years old.
Number 2.
Next up in the 6 at 6. Tonight, Kansas State will play its first basketball game without head coach Jerome Tang, who was fired over the weekend. It's weird because they will be hosting Jerome Tang's former team, the Baylor Bears. So I am intrigued to see what the fan reaction is like tonight. You can get into Bramlage Coliseum for $5 if you want to drive out for the game tonight to watch the 1-11 in league Kansas State Wildcats take on the 3-9 Baylor Bears. So not exactly a barn burner tonight out there at Bramlage, but you also have Jerome Tang, who is hiring a big-time attorney, Tom Mars, to handle the situation with Kansas State, because Kansas State is saying they are firing Jerome Tang for cause, meaning they don't have to pay the $18 million buyout. This is such an embarrassment for Kansas State. And Tom Mars is telling On3 Sports, we'll give Kansas State's president and AD a few days to regain their senses before we pull the trigger. Good. Give them a couple of days, see if they wise up. If not, you know what? I'm not really a fan of Jerome Tang's coaching skills, but you guys agreed to this dumb contract at Kansas State. You should owe him $18 million in every last penny.
Number 3.
Following up in our 6 at 6, we have a shooting in Providence, Rhode Island that we told you about. Transgender father Robert Dorgan ID'd as the Rhode Island hockey shooter who gunned down his family, as 6 social media posts have also been revealed. Dorgan, 56 years old, shot 4 family members and a family friend before turning the gun on himself after the deadly rampage at the Pawtucket, Rhode Island ice rink yesterday. He used the female alias Roberta Esposito. Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Conclaves had to say yesterday during the press conference. So that much we know about this guy. His social media is obviously, as you would imagine, somewhat deranged. The night before the shooting, he ominously replied to a post on X that was anti-trans, quote, "Keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk." Dorgan, the father of a North Providence high school senior who was competing in the hockey tournament, reportedly underwent gender reassignment surgery back in 2020. His identity appeared to be a source of multiple family court battles in the years before Monday's targeted shooting, which cops said was the result of a domestic dispute.
Number 4.
Next up, let's go to Leawood here, where the city council voted to lower the speed limit on Lee Boulevard. Leawood City Council members voted last night on a proposed speed limit change for Lee Boulevard 4 months after 10-year-old Duke Olmert was struck and killed while crossing the busy roadway. Currently, Lee Boulevard has 3 different speed limits within a quarter-mile stretch between Somerset and 81st Street. The speed limit drops from 30 miles an hour in Prairie Village to 25 at Somerset, then increases to 35 miles an hour from 81st Street to 103rd Street. A motion introduced last night to temporarily reduce the speed limit in the area from 35 to 30 passed unanimously. That motion also included instructions for the city to interact with and encourage homeowners who live in the area to help improve sightlines as well. The temporary speed limit change was introduced as a potential bridge to the speed limit later being lowered to 25 miles an hour in that area. So that's where it stands right now in Leawood.
Number 5.
We are watching 2 stories on data centers in the Kansas City area. Big meeting last night in Independence as they consider a $150 billion data center that could result in Independence giving tax breaks and incentives to this project. That would be a 400-acre project being built off Little Blue Parkway and Highway 78. The Dutch company behind the proposal, Nebius, could be getting tax breaks from the city as part of the incentives for this project. And that had City Hall packed last night in Independence. And then there's also this. In Miami County, Kansas, residents are responding to a $1 billion data center proposal. So this is a project that could sit on 115 acres north of Osawatomie, and that's obviously bringing up some concern as well. The preliminary development agreement, according to public records, show the site would be a 600,000 square foot campus upon potential completion, and it would have between 60 and 90 full-time employees, expected to bring about 350 construction jobs. The city of Osawatomie agreed to a 3-year contract that gives Alcove Development priority for surveying the land for a data center project with the exclusive rights to develop. The developer can back out at any period of time.
Number 6.
And lastly, in our 6 at 6, let's go to Shawnee, where the city will increase its transient guest tax ahead of the World Cup and the expected boost in tourism this summer. The increase on the taxes take effect April 1st, raising the city's transient guest tax from 8 to 9%. The tax applies to hotel rooms and short-term rentals. So it's about getting every last dollar that they can out of potential visitors for the World Cup. That's what this is. So this is now in line with other municipalities in the area on that transient tax being at about 9%. But, I don't hate it. I don't really have a strong feeling either way about it. But it's, once again, just case in point that these municipalities are trying to get their hands on every last dollar because they can't slow down government growth. There's your 6 at 6. Coming up next, ICE confirming it was in Olathe yesterday or over the weekend. What did it have to say next? So DHS did confirm that ICE was in Olathe late last week and over the weekend. And yesterday, there was a lot of attention on these two teens who were briefly detained by ICE, 19 and 14-year-old, at the Walmart at K7 in Santa Fe, and then got released after a few hours. These two teens have not given any color as to what exactly happened outside of the fact that they were detained and then let go. DHS did confirm yesterday they have been in the Olathe area. I've been trying to get comment. I told you yesterday that I've been trying to get comment from somebody at DHS on what exactly happened here, because it does not seem like we're getting two sides to this story. We're getting a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old who say they were going to Walmart to meet the 19-year-old's girlfriend, and before you know it, they're getting, slapped in handcuffs and guns pointed at them by ICE. As someone who's an ICE defender, that's a bad look. And that's where DHS has got to come out and tell us what the heck's going on here, if nothing else, to help their own credibility out here. I mean, I'm someone who's absolutely in support of, by and large, what ICE is doing. But I can't sit here and look at the story as it's currently been presented and be like, yep, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you have two U.S. citizen teenage boys being detained at gunpoint in a Walmart parking lot and then being like, sorry, have a good day. Can I buy you guys a hamburger or something? Like, you can't do that. You got to have something else here to work with. And I followed up again late last night, and all I was told is that it's being worked on. So that's where, as much as I continue to support the operations, and the fact that, as Tom Homan alluded to a couple of days ago on Fox Business, we have found 145,000 kids across the country. There's no way that you can be against that. But if somebody had a heavy hand in Olathe over the weekend, here's the thing. All the goodwill that the department should be getting can go away in an instant, because it's stories like this that go viral. It's stories like this that the media want to latch onto. They don't want to do stories on the kids being reunited with their families, the kids being removed from trafficking rings. They don't want to do that. They want to take the story from the Walmart parking lot in Olathe and make that the big bad ICE story of the week. So knowing that, understanding that they are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt, you've got to make sure that when things like this happen, you're able to at least explain what went wrong here. And they have not done that yet, John.
Well, and I hope it's not this cowboy attitude we all loathe in law enforcement, where they don't answer questions or they're above their own law, so to speak. We're all against that. So let's get to the bottom of this, right?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, you can back the blue as I do, and I know many of us do, but also be like, yeah, exactly. The John Wayne.
No knuckleheads.
No, I've got no sympathy for any of that. So, and right now, that seems like the only conclusion to come to until proven otherwise. I mean, give me something to work with here, DHS. I'll keep defending the organization and the work that's being done, but right now the deal in Olathe doesn't look good at all. 913-408-7957. Now, of course, you had the TV stations jumping on this thing yesterday. KMBC had the news first over the weekend about the arrest in the Walmart parking lot of these two teenagers, or the detention of these two teenagers. And Channel 41 had a follow-up on this story yesterday.
Me personally, immigrant born, it's very, very heartbreaking to see.
Danica Reyes says much of her community is on edge. We talked to her following reports of ICE in her neighborhood Friday.
I am a U.S. citizen, but my roots are Mexican, Hispanic. I'm 100% for my people.
KSHB 41 has been...
Listen, they're interviewing a young lady in downtown Olathe. I could do a whole thing on that. I'm going to show her grace because she doesn't know what she's talking about. She really doesn't. You can be proud of your heritage, but then also should want to be an American first. Okay? I think that's true for all of us. Whether you're a sixth-generation American or a first-generation American, I happen to fall somewhere in between. You can be proud of your heritage as someone who's half Italian and half Irish. Yes, I have pride in that. Both sides of my family do as well. But you're an American. I'm an American. Our American pride should supersede the pride that we have for wherever we came from. Because if not, any of us, I'll include myself in this, you in this, any of us, what are we doing here then? If our American pride does not supersede the pride of the country that our families came from. So it's just, I mean, it's like they tried to find some young person in downtown Olathe who was going to give them exactly what they want. And that's what they found yesterday with that clip.
Alerted of multiple reported ICE sightings in Olathe this month. A DHS spokesperson confirmed these visuals from Friday were ICE agents in the area. A DHS spokesperson also sent us a statement recently saying that DHS activities across the country are, quote, to keep Americans safe.
People are scared and people are not going to birthday parties. They're avoiding going to work. They're trying to just hunker down and stay where they are.
Mackenzie Smith is an attorney in Olathe. She says she's sharing advice with her clients and community members amid these reports of ICE.
You are not there to put yourself in between an agent and somebody else. It is your job to be an observer, to be a voice, but you need to stay away from the agents. You need to stay away from their work.
Now, I can respect that at the end there from that attorney in Olathe. I thought she was going to go full-blown like, yeah, stand up to, yeah, you show ICE who's boss. She's like, no, get out of the way. They've got a job to do. Okay, protest all you want, but you don't have the right to impede federal or any law enforcement for that matter. So I didn't know what I was going to get from her because at first I'm like, oh, gosh, she's talking about, people avoiding Abuela getting busted at a birthday party and no one can go to work anymore. And then she comes back on the back end and I'm like, boom, all right, that was pretty good. I will give you once again the benefit of the doubt and some grace in that reaction from that attorney down in Olathe who's like, you just cannot get in the way of law enforcement because you feel like it or you don't like what they're doing. And we're going to talk to Ryan Kreighauser at the bottom of the hour. He is a U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas about what he is seeing and sensing because some of these protests are no longer safe. And that's something that we need to have a conversation about right now because some people are getting a little too comfortable when it comes to their protesting rights. And he will join us at 7:30 to dive into that specific topic because we're seeing some problems on both sides of our state line, but we're seeing a lot of it in Johnson County as well. So we're looking forward to that conversation coming up in 20 minutes on KCMO. But I hope to have an answer on this by the time we get off the air this morning. I really want to have an answer on it. From the administration and DHS telling us what the heck happened in the Walmart parking lot last week. Because if not, the media is going to run rampant with the narrative, which is exactly the narrative they want to run rampant with, guys. I mean, this is where I have been a defender of the administration policy-wise, by and large, from term 1 to term 2. But they sometimes don't think 2 steps ahead. And then they complain when certain media outlets do exactly what you knew they were going to do the second the news broke. Like, you can't complain if you're a football team and Patrick Mahomes burns you. You know it's going to happen. You got to prepare for it, right? You got to be smart about it. And it's the same thing sometimes with these guys. They get burnt by national or local media, then they complain about the media. It's like, well, that's not going to change. So strategically think about what you're going to do. If A happens, how are we reacting? If B happens, how are we reacting? And they don't do enough of that. And now here in Kansas City, it's looking bad for anybody who's like, okay, I support ICE. Well, how do you support this? Well, you can't really support this at the Walmart in Olathe based on the information we currently have. And I can't get a real answer out of anybody right now in D.C. as to what the heck happened here. And, that's a bad look for all of us at this point. Coming up on KCMO, do you see the center of controversy over the weekend? I missed it because I didn't watch it. But now you've got the Israel-Palestine drama filtering back into the sports arena. Who, where, and why next?
From Gladstone to Gardner, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
So the NBA All-Star Game happened a couple of nights ago.
Nobody cares.
No. Follow me on the story here before you say that, okay? don't jump the gun on me here. So this happened, and in the game, they did the World All-Stars against the United States, which is kind of a neat way to do it. Instead of having Western Conference versus Eastern Conference, they did basically non-Americans versus Americans. That's kind of a cool twist on it. That's great. And the World All-Stars featured Portland Trailblazers forward Denny Adija. It was the first time an Israeli-born player appeared in an All-Star game, and he wore the Israeli flag on the back of his jersey. What did huckster, fake Knicks fan Spike Lee do? He was courtside, and his sweater that he had on was the Palestinian flag. That's right. He had a pro-Palestinian look when he showed up to the festivities over the weekend. And ever since yesterday, and this thing's been making the rounds because most people didn't see the game itself, so they had to see Spike Lee after the game on social media. And then yesterday it started to go more viral, where Spike Lee is out there and basically thumbing his nose at the first ever Israeli-born player to appear in an All-Star game. I mean, imagine being Spike Lee, a guy with 2 Oscars, dressing up to an NBA All-Star game like he's Yasser Arafat's wife just because a 25-year-old Israeli is participating in the game. How embarrassing for Spike Lee. But it's also very much on brand.
I was going to say, on brand. On brand.
But, even these guys who are on brand, they shock me with how on brand they can be sometimes.
There you go.
With this stuff.
They have immaculate precision. They hit that bullseye, don't they?
They do. And just when I want to give them the benefit of the doubt on something, they're like, nope, please don't do that. No. If you told me last week, hey, there's going to be this Israeli guy, first one to play in an NBA All-Star game, and he's going to dress up, Spike Lee's going to dress up with pro-Palestinian gear on and sit courtside, I'd be like, no, even for Spike Lee, that's too much, right? That's too much. Nope, it's not too much. But I'll give credit where it's due. LeBron James was asked about this and about Israel. And it wasn't the best answer, but when you stack it next to Spike Lee,
Or AOC,
where's Venezuela? I will take this every time.
What message would you like to send for Israel?
If I have fans over there, I've never been there. If I have fans over there, then, I hope you've been following my career. I hope I inspire people over there to not only want to be great in sports, but I want you to be better in general in life. So hopefully someday I can make it over there. Like I said, I've never been over there, but I've heard nothing but great things, and I appreciate the question.
Thanks.
I'm fine with that. I mean, considering LeBron's bended the knee to China time and time again, for his standards, that's a pretty good answer. He didn't say, Israel, that's on stolen land. He didn't do that. He said, hey, if I've got fans over there, that's great, and I look forward to visiting one day. He didn't try to act like he was some geopolitical expert. He just said, cool, if I got fans there, hopefully I'll visit one day, and that'll be great. And that's all you have to say. So there's the LeBron James way to handle this, and then there's Spike Lee acting like a total clown. Now, last night, if you didn't see this, Iowa State eked out a 70-67 win over Houston, top 6 matchup in college basketball up in Ames, Iowa. And here's a little fun sidebar for you. By the way, did you do anything with that game last night, Mark, on Big Monday on ESPN, or did you stay away?
I had Iowa State -2.5.
Oh,
Boom.
man, and they cover it. They cover the 2.5.
Made me sweat.
Yeah. See, I went to sleep. Houston was up 5 points in the second half, and they were starting to pull away. And I was thinking the Cougars were going to win that game. I wake up and I see Iowa State won. The Heist family had themselves a day yesterday. So last night, Nate Heiss hit the go-ahead three-pointer with just over 1 minute to play against Houston last night in Ames. His sister, Taylor, scored a goal against Sweden in Team USA's semifinal win in Olympic hockey. That's quite a day. You've had quite a day as a family when earlier in the day, your daughter scores a goal against Sweden as Team USA wins in the semifinal rounds of the Olympics. And then later that night, your son hits the go-ahead three-pointer to beat number 2 Houston in a big Monday matchup on ESPN. That's a nice little day for the family. You know, you've done pretty well athletically when you can look at that day, February 16th, 2026, and be like, let's tell you about that family day. All right? That's a good one right there. That's impressive. Also impressive that Mark he's always on the right side, man. You can't stop this guy. It's unbelievable. And I did see last night, speaking of Iowa State, no one scored in the teens last night. They beat the number 2 team in the country. Nobody scored more than 12 points. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It was Hilton Magic, baby.
I know. They got some there's no doubt about it. They got some magic up there. I got to give it to them. They've got some magic up there. It was quite a game last night up in Ames, Iowa. And tonight, Kansas State takes the court for the first time since firing Jerome Tang. Tickets are $5 at Bramlage if you want to make the trek out there. You don't have to. Well, you know what? No, now you got to wear a paper bag on your head, just like last week when K-State fans did that. But last week they did it for Tang. This week they have to wear the paper bag for their athletic director, who's embarrassing the university.
I think they're doing full-on leaf bags today.
They're going to Home Depot, getting the big leaf bags at Lowe's or whatever. Oh, that's great. Well, coming up, the protests on either side of the state line are obviously a First Amendment right. But you're seeing some protesters start to push the limits a little bit here. Ryan Kreighauser is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas. He's going to explain what concerns he has on this front next.
Vince Colonnese here. Join me for your lunch hour from 11 to 2 on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Okay, so protesting obviously is a First Amendment right, but you got to be safe and you have to be smart when you do it. And there are some concerns that are popping up on both sides of our state line on this front. And I want to cover this with Ryan Kreighauser, U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas, joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. Ryan, good morning. It's great to have you here. What are you seeing specifically in your district that is concerning you right now as it relates to protests?
Well, Pete, thank you very much for having me on the show here. I think the major concern right now is that the temperature just needs to be turned down a little bit. I think a lot of, adults in positions of responsibility are communicating things that aren't necessarily true. This idea that ICE or whoever can just disappear American citizens is false, full stop. But when you tell kids or young adults that this is possible, all of a sudden, certain actions that otherwise would be considered inherently dangerous become acceptable to people. And what we're seeing is that, protesting and First Amendment rights cross the line into actual interference with law enforcement. And that's a fine line. And people have to be conscious that when they are in these situations, they want to go protest, but when they see an arrest that's affected, it's hard for them not to involve themselves. And once someone goes hands-on with a federal officer, that's a crime. And it becomes a huge problem at that point.
Is this something that you're hearing from local law enforcement is getting dicier by the protest, by the day, or are you just trying to be proactive to make sure we don't get to that point?
No, this is completely about being proactive. I know here in Olathe, this is my hometown, so obviously we've seen the news, and there are two sides to every story, and some of that information will hopefully come out here. We are kind of in a bind because we haven't made any kind of charging decision, so we're limited on what we can talk about. But I think it is important to just say, if you want to go protest and be involved, there's this line where it becomes more operational and where people use vehicles to block law enforcement. It becomes closer to actually engaging with law enforcement in a way that interferes, and that can be charged, and that's a problem.
So is there anything, I've talked to some people, and I don't know if this is something that you get alerted to as the U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas, but when ICE is in Olathe, like it was confirmed to be over the weekend, do you have any information as to, specifically that arrest at the Walmart that's getting a lot of attention and what that may have been about?
Well, as Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer for the state of Kansas, I work closely with all of our federal agencies, and ICE and DHS is one of those agencies. And so if charges were presented, those would be presented to my office, and we would make the charging decision.
Okay, but nothing has been presented yet.
Any information that I have right now, I can't really publicly disclose because that charging decision hasn't been made.
Okay, and who would that be, your office making that decision?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So what about, you see the protest then, you're right here in Johnson County, obviously, they're kind of popping up around the area. Some are out there every Saturday, 87th and 435 in Lenexa seems to have a crowd that's there every Saturday. And some of the signs, listen, First Amendment's the First Amendment. I'm not trying to take away from that. I know you're not either. But some of the signs really are just grotesque, inappropriate for kids. Does any of that matter, or is that just basically, hey, you know what? You can put on your signs what you want, and if I don't like it, I've got to do my job to shield kids away from it?
Well, I think you've followed some of my litigation history in the past. I'm a huge supporter of the First Amendment, and nothing has changed in that regard. However, there is a line that cannot be crossed, and we've charged individuals here in the District of Kansas for making overt threats to law enforcement or any other federal officials. So when that language becomes threatening, particularly in a way that tries to inhibit law enforcement from doing their job, like saying, if you continue these raids, I'll do X, whatever the threat is, that becomes a huge problem and could be criminally charged.
Okay, but if it's like, hey, ICE murders mothers, I mean, things like that, that's just, I guess that's just First Amendment, right? We're just going to have to accept that.
Yeah, until it crosses that line. Now, there could be other legal consequences if it identified a particular officer that, their conduct was, it's defamatory towards what they did. They may have some legal remedy civilly, but by and large, we're a country where the answer to speech is more speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's generally my philosophy.
Yeah. No, that makes all the sense in the world. All right. Well, Ryan, we appreciate you hopping on for a few minutes. Anything else you want to make sure Kansans know as, unfortunately, the temperature is turned up too high and people hopefully who are responsible and in leadership roles will help turn it down?
Yeah, I would just say to the parents out there, there are all these Facebook groups where people are tracking ICE officers. And if your kids are involved in this, I mean, people should go out and protest and speak their minds. But once people are involved with operationally involving themselves with law enforcement, it becomes a very dangerous situation that can change in a split second. So everyone needs to go into that situation knowing what they're doing. And I think everyone should keep that in mind and stay safe.
So there are those groups, and this is what happened in part to Renee Good, where these people are trying to follow ICE agents if they see reports of them around Kansas City.
Right. Well, and, there is a way to do that legally, most likely, but it's very easy to cross that line into felonious activity. Yeah. Especially when emotions are running high. So people who are involved in that need to be well-trained and know what that line is. And it when kids or young adults get swept up into this, that line can easily be crossed, and everyone should be aware of that.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, thanks for all you're doing. Appreciate the time, and great to have you on KCMO. We'll have you back soon.
Hey, thank you. There
you go. Ryan Kreighauser. He is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Listen, I guess I'm not in those Facebook groups. I know it's going to shock you.
Talk about a bombshell.
I'm not going on Facebook and looking for groups trying to track ICE agents on a Tuesday afternoon. But, hey, I got some time to kill at about 3 in the afternoon. I guess I could tell Kate I'm going to be home late. That's what I'll do, John.
Well, your advice to your daughters about the protesters is best. Like, it's time to get some hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? If you got some spare time.
It's crazy. I mean, I was bringing them to an event last week, and every Saturday, Claire's got her commitments, and she said, Dad, and it was the first time I was taking them because it's usually around nap time for the youngest, so I've been staying home, but I took them last week, and she goes, yeah, they're going to be out there. I'm like, No, they're not going to be out there. There's no big No Kings rally. No, Dad, they're out there every week. Well, they were out there in the rain last Saturday. And, bleep ICE and, these people are murdering moms and the whole thing. And I just said, don't look at them because that's what they want. They want attention. And, yes, they do need hobbies. They need, something. I don't know, Legos. Do something with your time.
Those are pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. I'm not sure they could do them, follow the directions, but, some of them couldn't spell. I was looking at the cardboard boards. I'm like, gosh, dang. We don't have fifth grade proficiency rates around here for some of these people.
That's true. That could be an issue.
That's problematic, I think. But either way, no one's trying to get in the way of your First Amendment rights. But if you're getting in the way of law enforcement, and if these groups are now active on social media, trying to basically track federal agents around Kansas City, that's what happened to Renee Good. You try to play, the vigilante card, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You're putting yourself in major risk, okay? Major risk. Don't do it. Don't go down that road. Stacey Graves is the Kansas City Police Chief. She is going to join me at 8:05 on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM, streaming always at KCMOTalkRadio.com. Coming up, there was a teaser on the big story that Kansas City just can't kick. We'll get to it next. All right, as you are rolling through your Tuesday and thinking to yourself, how am I going to get everything done today? I got to go grocery shopping. Where am I going to find the time? That's the beauty of the Hy-Vee Plus annual membership upgrade with the Perks Plus membership. Free grocery delivery or express pickup. We had to use it last night. Kate was like, oh, I forgot. I got to get, snack for pre-K today. What did we do? Hy-Vee Perks Plus showed up at the door before we fell asleep last night, and we're all good to go. Exclusive members-only pricing on hundreds of items every single day, plus the added fuel saver discounts. Hy-Vee.com/perks. Upgrade your card today. Save time, save money. What could be better with Hy-Vee Perks Plus?
From the nation's heartland, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Oh, John Sherman, I love you, man. I really think you want what's best for Kansas City, but you're killing me with these teasers. It really is. Royals owner yesterday down in spring training saying that we're not far away from a stadium deal.
Thoughts on Mayor Lucas saying that he wants to keep the team in downtown, and that's his stated goal for 2026.
Well, I appreciate him working, and I appreciate that he's working very hard at the end. So I appreciate the work he's doing. You know, we don't have a settled yet anywhere, but I would tell you I don't think we're that far away.
I don't think we're that far away. Famous last words, right? We weren't that far away 2 years ago. Last spring, we weren't that far away. We wanted a deadline of a stadium maybe midsummer. And then in maybe May, June-ish, we were told late summer we should have a stadium. And now here we are the following spring training saying we are not far away, John.
I think the Royals are setting up camp at Rock Chalk Park for the World Cup, actually, instead of Algeria at this point.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. It's just too much. It really is. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I know that he's got to say something when he gets asked the question. How about just a simple, hey, you know what? We appreciate Mayor Lucas working hard on behalf of the Royals. We've always believed that downtown Kansas City could be a great place for the Royals to call home for generations to come. But in an effort to not bury myself any further, I'm gonna sit this one out. All right?
He could have gone with the other option, which is, hey, is that Patrick Mahomes over there? And then take off, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, who's that guy?
Hey, is that Mahomes?
Well, here's what was weird. I was listening to the press conference yesterday with John Sherman, and he's on the field at spring training, and all these guys are behind him yakking away, and it was hard to hear what he was saying.
I thought that was odd.
And I'm like, the guy's the owner. Would you get the heck out of here? I mean, John Sherman is such a decent man that his own employees, and let's be honest, he's signing every paycheck, his own employees are blabbering behind him while he's doing not a press conference, but he's doing a media gaggle. I mean, take a listen to this part when he's talking about Missouri re-engaging.
When the Chiefs made this announcement, there was a whole new wave of enthusiasm. So I don't mean that they weren't working hard, but there's a lot of effort being put forth, and we're still evaluating Kansas. We're still evaluating multiple locations in Missouri, but I do appreciate the effort that's being put forth, not only by the mayor, but by the government.
So he's saying there he appreciates Missouri re-engaging. After the Chiefs announced they were going to Kansas, Missouri got back in the saddle. Mayor Lucas, he also made sure to give Kehoe a shout-out, which, frankly, is the right thing to do. No one will take a bigger victory lap than Mayor Lucas if they stay in Kansas City, but a lot of the heavy lifting has been done quietly behind the scenes by the governor of Missouri, less so the mayor. But you can hear people just kind of blabbering behind him. And I'm like, would you show some respect for the owner of the ball club? Come on now.
Show some RESPICT.
Just a little bit of respect. A little bit. Hey, the guy signing the checks, he's doing an interview. And these guys are just loud-mouthing behind him. I'm like, get him out of there. And where's the communications guy to slap somebody around too? Hey, the owner is talking to the media. Would you not laugh and chuckle over the guy's shoulder? It's all getting picked up by the mics there, fellas. Come on. The fans are dying to hear what the owner's got to say about the future of the stadium, and you got these chuckleheads behind him here. What's that all about? It's a bad look all around. But John Sherman also made it very clear, and this has been the truth since day one. He has always had an affinity for downtown baseball.
I still have a bias for baseball, bacon, and the parties in the cultural center of our city. I mean, to have the ability to make it better.
The cultural center of our city to make it better. He's always had a bias for downtown. He's wanted to make it work since day one. And now all signs are pointing towards that happening for Kansas City at most likely Washington Square Park. That's what it's looking like right now. Now, he said, yeah, sure, Kansas is still in the mix. I don't think it is. I think that the Kansas politicians realize they bit off way more than they can chew, and they'll have to deal with, the repercussions. Actually, they won't have to deal with the repercussions. We'll have to deal with the repercussions as taxpayers. They'll get in the suite. They'll get the back slap from the Chiefs. They will, and no one's going to remember them when all is said and done. They will not have to deal with the repercussions. Most of them will be gone before the stadium opens up in 5-6 years. Not all of them, but most of them will be gone. So they won't have to deal with the repercussions. Nobody's going to remember who was on the LCC in Kansas when, they screwed the taxpayers. But on the flip side of this, if you're John Sherman, the lane to Missouri just opened up wide for you as they try to obviously keep this team. North Kansas City has just been in that distant second place for a very long time now. it feels like it's not happening there. So now you got to figure out the ingress egress. You've got to figure out what to do about Crown Center, how you can redevelop the area to make the Royals some ancillary revenue. That's what has to happen now. And we'll see how it plays out going forward. 913-408-7957. Text line and studio line here on KCMO Talk Radio. Pete, these guys are going to end up wasting billions renovating Crown Center. I don't think that would be a waste. Crown Center could use a facelift. It would be great if Crown Center would be welcomed into the 21st century. And if putting the baseball stadium right there in Washington Square Park opens up a lane for the Royals to then redevelop Crown Center, I hate to use this word, but I'm going to, reimagine Crown Center, that's a good thing. Like, there are benefits that can come from all of this and can work out for everybody. It still feels like a very tight space, but I don't think that would be a waste. Trust me, there are plenty of ways that I think these teams could waste money, and I think they will waste money. I don't believe that if they pick Washington Square Park, renovating Crown Center is going to be one of them. I don't believe it. Pete, there's one of the things that's wrong with the organization is at the very top. See, I disagree, and I've been critical of how the Royals have gone about their business. I have been. They've blown past their own deadlines. They have not been as transparent as they should have been throughout the process. But I will say this, for the market size, the Royals payroll, they are swinging above their weight class when it comes to payroll based on market size. I believe the ownership group, led by John Sherman, genuinely wants to win and wants to do right by Kansas City. I can believe all of those things, which I do believe, but also say, yeah, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way with the entire process. All of those things can be true at the very same time. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. Mayor Lucas said, what did he say last week? His deadline was the end of spring training to get a stadium deal done. And the mayor posted a photo, I don't know, sometime in the last couple of days. It was a picture from the parking lot by Washington Square Park, looking towards the Western Auto sign saying, good morning, Kansas City. So the insinuation there was like, hey, here's where the baseball stadium's going to be. Let's get this thing done as soon as we possibly can. Now, one thing we've been following over the last 36 hours or so is the shooting at a nightclub at, Southwest Boulevard and 28th Street, give or take. And we have two young women who got killed in this nightclub shooting 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. What do we know? What's the latest? Police Chief Stacey Graves is going to be here coming up on KCMO. Plus, where are they at when it comes to the budget for KCPD? They're looking at, they want about $400 million. The city's offering about $360 million. What does that mean for Kansas City residents and taxpayers? We'll talk about with Kansas City, Missouri Police Chief Stacey Graves coming up on KCMO, and then Tirade Tuesday at 8:30. Well, we've got some tickets we got to tell you about here in 10 minutes. Show just got announced. We had to hold on to this thing for a while. But first, we have the police chief of Kansas City, Missouri, Stacey Graves, kind enough to join us for a few minutes here on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio. Of course, all eyes are on this investigation, nightclub shooting, leaving 2 women dead early on Sunday morning. There were memorials that were put out yesterday outside of that nightclub on Southwest Boulevard and 28th Street. Chief, good morning. What can you tell us and share with us this morning on this case and where it currently stands?
Good morning, Pete. Yeah, that was a tragic morning on Sunday at just after 2 a.m. at the nightclub. But I do have some I don't know if you'd say this is good news, but, in our world it is, that we do have a person in custody and charged. That person was in custody and charged before 6:30 last night. The individual has been charged with murder times 2, obviously assault in first and second degree, armed criminal action, and also unlawful use of a weapon. So we do have a person in custody. That person is charged for that horrific event that happened.
Okay, well, that's a pretty quick turnaround. I'm sure there's details that you can share, but was this someone who knew the victims?
That I don't have all the details on that, but I can tell you that there was some really great work by the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department detectives, knowing how tragic the scene was, and went right into action and got him into custody within 48 hours.
How open did people who were there that night seem to be when it comes to talking to law enforcement, and how critical was that in getting this person into custody?
I think what's critical these days and what's the expectation in modern policing is the usage of cameras, physical evidence, and just good old-fashioned police work as far as, interviewing folks. I can't give you particular information on who provided information and who didn't, but I can tell you that we oftentimes use some of that digital, cameras is what I'm referring to, and such that helps us lead to suspects quicker.
Okay, because it does seem like there was an issue, especially going back a few years, mistrust from the police, and I would call it media malpractice on behalf of law enforcement as well, where a lot of people just said, I don't want to talk to the cops. Do you feel like that is starting to rehab itself over time?
Yeah, and that's reflected in our homicide clearance rates. The last 2 years have been one of the highest clearance rates we've had here at KCPD. One was 76% and one was 75%, which is well above the national average, and that is indicative of more trust with the community. It also speaks to police legitimacy.
Police Chief Stacey Graves on KCMO Talk Radio. So that person is in custody in the nightclub shooting as of 6:30 p.m. Last night, sharing that right here on KCMO. So, Chief, obviously, there's a budget, I don't want to call it a battle, debate going on right now. You're looking for more money than what the city budget currently has planned for the next fiscal year. How does that impact you going forward, and what is it going to look like for you as this negotiation goes on the next few weeks?
Well, this is something that happens, numerous times since I've been here, a member of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, where you get down to the last 3 months of the year, you need to cut back, you need to tighten the belt on some of the costs that we have going out the door. One of that is obviously overtime, because that's one of the things that we do have control over. There'll be no disruption of police service in Kansas City. We'll continue to prioritize our city's policing needs, which is one reason for some of the overtime usage we've had this past year. I want to make sure that we're responsive to needs in our community and make sure that we are, addressing some of those issues as they pop up. And I truly believe that because of some of our presence in areas throughout our city has resulted in reductions in crime in all categories. Again, that could also lead to or could be reflected in police legitimacy and trust as well. But in addition to that, we've been in a lot of places this past year, whether it be entertainment districts, different crime reduction efforts in different parts of our city. We've really hit it hard. But as we go into budget negotiations, we've already our finance team, or our fiscal team and the city finances have already worked through a budget that is going to be presented before City Hall, before City Council, and I hope that continues forward. I will say that throughout all the departments, there was a request for significant reductions in a submitted budget, which we got down to what we think we can live with. And I will say, this past budget that we're living in right now, it was prepared in the fall of 24. That was 17 months ago, and it's been managed to within less than 1%, and that's under circumstances of increasing personnel, the costs associated with personnel, and we've also achieved positive trends in crime statistics. We've resolved several claims, and we've also adopted a lot of practices to mitigate future claims. But I got to tell you, this is not something that's new. The words used as it being a leaked email, I sent that to every employee of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. I would not characterize that as a leaked email. If you send an email out to that many people, somebody's going to probably get some eyes on it. But that's nothing that I'm hiding here as a leader of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. When I am looking at projections, and I keep an eye on the budget all throughout the year, and if we're starting to look like we're going to go over, it means we need to cut back towards it. We have to make budget.
Okay, so you're saying no noticeable cut in basic services in Kansas City, just kind of tightening up the belt buckle on some of the other things. One thing that Mayor Lucas alluded to last week is that, the city is spending too much money on lawsuit settlements through KCPD, and he wants to see action from the state in terms of capping some of those settlements. How do you want to see all that handled?
When it comes to the lawsuits, one reason why we have had, I would say, an increase in number of lawsuits right now is we are starting to see cases that were held up back in the COVID when courts were closed. Some of those are coming they're coming in now where we're flooded with some. But one was a 1990s wrongful conviction case, which nobody here. I don't think we have anyone law enforcement that's still here from when that case went through. That being said, we're kind of put in an impossible position because we have to navigate some of these lawsuits out of our operating budget, which is something that we're working with the mayor on as we speak, and just seeing what that looks like going forward. As far as caps at the state, I will say that the state does help us. They do provide some funding every year for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, but as far as caps, I agree. There's some decisions or either from juries or judgments, and it's just an astronomical amount. And I got to tell you, usually, even if we do have a good case, sometimes the juries don't necessarily look in favor of the police department. It's a sad thing to say, but it's true. And when we have some of these claims, we have to make sure that we take into account what it's going to cost on either way. You can't necessarily make those decisions on principle. It's almost sometimes how are we being the most fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars.
And then on that note, do you feel like the city is properly fighting back and defending itself on these lawsuits, or do you think there's more that can be done? Because it does seem like in some cases, I'm not saying every time, but that, for some people, they're looking for an easy payday on this stuff.
Yeah, there are cases like that, but there's also been some cases where we feel like we have a good case and we do take that to court, and it doesn't get ruled in our favor. So we have to weigh the risk of that and potentially end up with a bigger judgment than we would have if we would have mediated it.
Please.
And that's a hard thing. That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, especially as a member of this police department coming up. At times, I didn't really understand how those decisions were made, but here in this position right now, I've just got to weigh that. I would love to fight everything on principle, but that's not always the best choice. It's not always the most fiscally responsible thing to do.
How many cops do you want to hire this year?
Oh my goodness, I want to hire. I want to have 1,309 by May the 1st. I don't know if we're going to get there, but I'm sure my people have got the foot on the gas. It's all gas, no brakes. Trying to get that number. We have asked for 50 additional officers in this budget that is effective on May 1, and that is already built in from what I understand.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. So you feel like you're in a pretty good place then with City Hall, because there has been the insinuation that maybe everyone's not swimming in the same direction right now, but that's not the sense I'm getting from you as we go through this process.
No, this is something that's usually worked out between our fiscal team and city finance. We work a lot on that on the budget. We meet throughout the year, especially, when we're in budget season like we are now. We've had some really good conversations with the city manager, and we're not at the amount that we submitted. I will tell you that, but there's been some projections at the city that has caused us to have to really break it down to even sometimes to bare bones to make sure that we have enough just to get through the year, and that's what we're going towards. And I wish that it was more. But, we're going to have to just make do, and we will have more officers coming online here in the next year, so hopefully that will reduce some of our overtime as well. I got to tell you, though, Pete, this past year and every year, the members of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, we show up. They show up. They do good work. They're out here getting the job done every day. And, we've asked a lot of them this past couple years, and that is what you've seen in the reduction in some of those numbers. Also, obviously, there's community participation in that, but I can't speak highly enough of the members of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and what they put into the city and their service every day.
Chief, thank you as always for the time. We appreciate you hopping on, and we will talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
There you go. Stacey Graves, Police Chief, Kansas City, Missouri, on KCMO Talk Radio. Appreciate her hopping on the show for a few minutes. Tirade Tuesday is 15 minutes away. Your chance to tee off on whatever. Coming out of a long weekend, that was you, something on your nerves. 8:35, Tirade Tuesday. Your chance to do it here on KCMO. Right now, we are giving away tickets. Just got announced, Santana with the Doobie Brothers at the New Morton Amphitheater, August 26th. We've got tickets all week long here at 8:15. Seventh caller, 913-408-7957. And then again with Kevin Keatsman at 10:45.
from Overland Park to Parkville. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, Johnny won the first round of tickets here, my man.
Teresa up north of the river in Platte County is our first winner this time around to see the show. Santana and the Doobie Brothers. Excellent pairing.
There you go.
Yeah, at Morton Amphitheater.
August 26th. So
tickets are on sale when?
Friday. Yes.
Yeah, win them before you can buy them again.
Exactly. Right here on KCMO. 8:15 all week long, and then again with Keatsman at 10:45. 2 chances to win every day right here on 95.7 FM. So 2 social media posts just came out in the last few minutes I want to share with you. First, we got Trump on Jesse Jackson dying at the age of 84. Here we go. John's covering his face.
Covering my eyes here like, oh, no.
No, it's actually pretty good. Okay? Like, this is not Rob Reiner 2.0. It's not. It's actually a pretty good post from Trump. Now, the bar is very low for that, but still, it's a good post.
That.
A very good post by his standards. Once again, not the best, but it could be a lot worse. The president posting on Truth Social. The Reverend Jesse Jackson is dead at 84. Why does he randomly capitalize certain words? Like dead is capitalized. Not the whole word, but just the D in dead. I don't get it. I knew him well, long before becoming president. He was a good man with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts. He was very gregarious, someone who truly loved people. This is pretty good. Come on, this is pretty good. All right, here we go. That's an A+ so far. But then it starts doing the Trumpian thing where it kind of weaves and semi goes off the rails. Not that much, but here we go. He was very gregarious, someone who truly loved people. Despite the fact that I am falsely and consistently called a racist by the scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left, Democrats all, in caps, it was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. I provided office space for him and his Rainbow Coalition for years in the Trump building at 40 Wall Street. Responded to his request for help in getting criminal justice reform, all caps, passed and signed when no other president would even try. Single-handedly pushed and passed long-term funding for historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, which Jesse loved, but also which other presidents would not do. Responded to Jesse's support for Opportunity Zones, the single most successful economic development package yet approved for black businessmen and women, and much more. The president writes here on social media this morning, after the death of Jesse Jackson, Jesse was a force of nature like few others before him. He had much to do with the election without acknowledgement or credit of Barack Hussein Obama, a man who Jesse could not stand. He loved his family greatly. And to them, I send my deepest sympathies and condolences. Jesse will be missed. President Donald J. Trump. By Trump standards, that's an A+ post right there. Is it not?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean,
began and ended well.
Let's just put it this way. I know that you were covering your face there for a second, John, but you know what? You don't have to cover your face anymore. You know, that's pretty good by what we've come to expect.
Well, you're right. There's an opening paragraph and a closing paragraph, and in the middle you get the enough about me, but let's talk about me.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the bob and the weave going on there.
Yeah,
is
so
what that is.
How much enough about me, let's talk about me is in there is the question, and that was moderately reasonable.
Yes, exactly. And when it comes to let's talk about me, how does that get framed in the grand scheme of things, right? Like the Rob Reiner thing was so poorly handled.
Yeah.
But the what about me part isn't bad, because the what about me part here is actually important when you talk about the context of this guy and how he was viewed by media, by civil rights leaders, by Hollywood before he ran for president. And this part of his legacy, the pre-president part of his legacy, never gets any attention. All right? I mean, he's right to note here. Hey, I get called a racist by all these people. Meantime, I was giving Jesse Jackson and his Rainbow Coalition office space for years. I was friends with them, yes, during his first term. He did pass long-term funding for HBCUs. He did get criminal justice reform passed and signed. He did help out Jesse in particular, with opportunity zones. So actually, the part where it's like, let's talk about me, I actually find that valuable because it's all these things that critics never discuss.
Because the president doesn't get the forum to highlight that. It's not like it's 60 Minutes here on Sunday. We're going to find out what the president thought of Jesse Jackson on the whole featured special.
No way is that happening, right?
So to your point, I agree.
Instead, there'll be something like, how Trump hurt Jesse Jackson. That'll somehow be part of the equation. So of all the things he could post in the wake of Jesse Jackson dying, I agree. When you hear Trump just posted about Jesse Jackson, it's like, oh, no. But that was good. I'll take it. Speaking of good social media posts, Marquise Noel, former star at Kansas State who led the team to an Elite Eight 3 years ago in year one under Jerome Tang, he has just posted on social media, I'm shocked and disappointed in K-State sports. You got this all wrong. Pay my guy his money and move on. That is exactly right from Marquise Noel, which, by the way, he should get a cut of Jerome Tang's buyout because Jerome Tang isn't getting the contract from K-State, the extension, if Marquise Noel doesn't go off in the 2023 NCAA tournament. Marquise should get a 10% cut at least of that buyout. But he's saying, hey, K-State, stop playing this game. Stop trying to fire him for cause. You guys gave him the contract, own up to it, pay him his money, and move on. And he's right. Now it's your turn. Tirade Tuesday. Whatever you want to rant and get off your chest. I don't care what it is. It's the only 10 minutes of the week that you get to control. 913-408-7957. Phones are open. Tirade Tuesday's next.
Hey, it's Kevin Keatsman. Stick around. I'm coming up at 10 o'clock right after Pete Mundo on KCMO 95.7 FM.
All right, it's that time of the week. Sometimes coming out of a long weekend for some people, they're just feeling like it's Monday morning, but it's not. It's Tuesday. The phone lines are open. Let's do it.
It's time for Tirade Tuesday on 95.7 FM KCMO.
How dare you?
Mark gets into it when that Tirade Tuesday kicks in. He's fist pumping on the other side of the glass. He's ready for your tirades. 913-408-7957. Phone lines are open for you. Get in. John, Mark will get you right on here on a Tirade Tuesday. Let's do it. Let's start in KCK. That's where Steve is this morning. Steve, what is your tirade, my man? Go ahead.
A message for Squintin, Quentin, Lucas, and Handy Manny. Hey, I want you guys to know that some of the people who voted for you, they want ICE agents here. You represent those people too. And I'm tired of these guys making ICE agents feel like they're unwanted in Kansas City. ICE agents, if you're out there listening, welcome to Kansas City. We love you. We support you. 90% of people here, we got jobs that we work for a living, so we have to be there instead of have these demonstrations helping you guys out. But welcome to Kansas City, ICE. We love you.
Okay. All right. It's a big welcome to ICE from Steve in Kansas City on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. There you go. He's fired up. I don't know if the agents have us on in the vehicle. I don't know. I know they're busy, but they've got us on. Hello, boys and girls. Welcome. And keep doing good work. Just give me some clarity on whatever happened in Olathe over the weekend, because that's not a very good look so far. 913-408-7957. Phones are open on a Tirade Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's not Monday. Get them in. Now's your chance. We got a few minutes left here on KCMO Talk Radio to do that for you this segment, this time of the week. We set it aside. 913-408-7957. Let's go to Paul in Kansas City. Paul, go.
Hey, my tirade is that the radicalized arsonist has not been brought into custody. We don't know who she is. I saw on Channel 9 this morning. They said, we don't know who she is, law enforcement. And I listened to the interview with the police chief, and that's a great job getting that murderer after 2 days. You still haven't got that arsonist that tried to burn those brothers' property down. That is it's a shame.
Well, and thank you for that. I admit that one skipped my mind based on the conversation this morning. What I gathered on Friday, just real quick, and then I'll get to more tirades here, is that there was someone that they had identified and were planning to arrest as of Friday. So it's just not getting as much attention. I should follow up, and I will follow up once this show is over today, Paul, and I'll let you know what I find.
I appreciate it, Pete.
All
Thanks,
right.
brother.
Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate that. 913-408-7957. That's the studio line on a Tirade Tuesday. Get them in. We're going to your calls right now here on KCMO Talk Radio. All right. Let's go to Cody, Kansas City. Cody, go.
Hey, man, I'm tired of Pam Bondi talking about the Dow. We need to talk about locking up some pedophiles, man. This stuff is disgusting.
Hey, man, Pam Bondi did not do herself any favors last week. I agree.
Man.
Hey, let's just talk. Hey, the Dow hit 50,000. Every time Kate says to me, hey, could you empty the dishwasher? No, the Dow's at 50,000, honey. Let's talk about that, okay?
Man, we need to get these guys out, man.
Yeah, listen, Pam Bondi, I'm not the biggest, we've got to figure out what's going. I mean, obviously, I want to know what happened here, Cody. I know you do, too.
Yes,
but
sir.
Pam Bondi is not it. Okay, she's not.
It is not.
She's not
it. No, you're right.
That's a good one. Short, sweet. I like it, Cody. Thanks so much, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Chad in Basehor. What's up, Chad? What's your tirade?
Oh, I was driving downtown yesterday, and an electronic billboard it looked like it was a city-sponsored billboard, was stating, thanking the platform industries for not selling their facility to ICE. I think it's kind of crazy that the city would even put something like that up, but in a liberal city, I guess that's what we get.
Wait, where was that?
It was right before you hit downtown on the 670 loop, like down by the west bottom.
someone's got to be driving by there right now who can confirm that. And you said you thought it was paid for by the city of Kansas City, Missouri?
It had the Kansas City, Missouri, fountain logo on the bottom of it. So I imagine that's who did it.
And what did it say?
It said, "We would like to thank Platform Industries for not selling your building for an ICE detention facility. Thanks for supporting the immigrants in Kansas City." That's what it said. It was amazing.
That is even if you're happy, that's the dumbest message. It's not about supporting immigrants. Anyone who is an immigrant here illegally is not going to be in an ICE detention facility.
Correct.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. Just when you think they can't smack their heads in the wall any harder, they manage to do it.
I agree.
Wow.
But, yeah, that's my tirade. I was not happy about that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. Good thing you're out there living the good life in Basehor. I'll just say that much. 913-408-7957 on a Tirade Tuesday. Charlie and Lee Summit. What's up, Charlie?
Hey, Pete, y'all were running an ad recently. I haven't heard it in a while, but even on TV, these ads that have doorbells or people knocking. I have 2 small chihuahuas, and I usually listen to KCMO all day, and whenever they would play that ad with the doorbell, my 2 chihuahuas would just go berserk for about 30 minutes.
Is that 30 minutes? I think that's a problem with the chihuahuas.
Well, there's no problem with the chihuahuas. It's just the doorbells I have a problem with.
Do you have a doorbell in your house?
Yes, and it sets them off too. But I have a sign that says, please don't ring the doorbell."
Okay, so I don't even know what commercial you're talking about, Charles, but
it was for a product, I think, for gastrointestinal stuff, and I listened to it online.
Gotcha.
And it always started off with the doorbell ringing, and then I never could hear anything after that for about 30 minutes.
Well, I'm glad the commercial appears to be gone, Charlie. I'll just say that much. That's all I can do for you. All right.
Might have been an online specialty commercial, not one over the air.
Sometimes the ads on the app, if you're listening on the stream or your Alexa, can be different from what you hear on the radio. So I don't know that one, but I still think that if we're getting to the root cause, right, that's the hot phrase, what's the root cause problem here? I think the root cause is the chihuahuas. I get bark and listen. Woody goes nuts, and the girls like to tweak him because they ring the doorbell just to mess with him. And then he goes nuts for 60 seconds. Maybe it's even 30. But 30 minutes, someone's got to knock those chihuahuas in line. That's all I've got for them.
One time I shut the door and my dogs are... Come on.
Relax. Take it easy. Take it easy. All right, Jacob, Independence, go.
Hey, Pete. Hey, good morning. I got a tirade for you. Okay. Dude, the trans men having babies thing, it's out of control. All right, so my wife just gave birth a couple weeks ago, and I'm not going to say the hospital, but it's a local teaching hospital, so there's students running around. Mm-hmm. And I saw a bunch of nurses who had a bunch of trans, inclusivity, pride, whatever, little flags on their name tags, on their badges. Now, I thought this is ground zero for life. You got a bunch of nurses watching real women kick out real babies. If anybody was going to, call BS on the men having babies thing, I thought it would be them. But you got a bunch of nurses with these little pride flags on their badges. You got a bunch of doctors. Some of them did, but I noticed the students. This is a teaching hospital, so there was a bunch of students in there. Every doctor and student that I saw that were male did not have the flags on their badges, but all the females that I saw did. And it made me wonder, maybe they're not dumb people. Maybe they're just blindly compassionate. You know what I mean? There's these groups that say, I'm a victim, I'm downtrodden, I'm oppressed. And then there's this population of people who say, oh, well, we're just going to jump up and support you no matter what you say. And I think that population is mostly comprised of women. But when it's on the nursing floor, when it's on the delivery floor, isn't it kind of foolish? Isn't it out of control at that point?
I would say it is, Jacob. I would say it is, man. Thank you. I mean, listen, it's a great point. Congratulations, by the way. I don't want to miss the big point, which is congratulations to you and your wife on a new baby.
Thank you. Well, we got 2 for 1 on that deal.
Whoa! All right. Well, you're not sleeping much, man. I hope you're locked in every morning to KCMO to keep you awake.
You bet. Yeah, no sleep and more KCMO. I got you.
Thanks, Jacob. Congratulations.
Thanks, dude.
Wow.
Thanks, man.
That's amazing. Twins. Unbelievable. And he's right. I mean, the whole like virtue signaling thing is undoubtedly a part of the equation here. No doubt about it. Kerry in Lenexa. What's up, Kerry?
I want to know why the Republicans are not smart enough to include like a countermeasure department before they send out this bill. They say, hey, we're going to pass the SAVE Act. It goes through a little marketing department. They go, well, you're going to get kickback on this. And then they include something in the bill to counteract all the negative press and everything else that they know they're going to get. For example, SAVE Act, hey, and we're going to include in the SAVE Act a provision where we provide resources, funding, et cetera, to help the people that obviously aren't smart enough to get an ID. We're going to help them get IDs. And so we have some kind of countermeasure built into this so that we can stop this nonsense of being attacked for, I don't know, stupid reasons.
Yeah, Kerry, it's a very good tirade. It's a very good tirade. We talk about not thinking two steps ahead. You're doing it, and unfortunately, common sense is not too common. Last up, Walter, Spring Hill, go. What's your tirade?
Hey, Pete. In the wake of the Jesse Jackson death, it just ticks me off how everybody always says that Trump is such a racist. I heard, his post, and he's right to tout what he's done for black colleges and what have you. Racist presidents, or people in general, don't do that. Racist people don't have nice things to say about black people who have died. And so it just hacks me off. Everybody who's met Trump has nothing but good things to say about him. When they meet him in person, they say he's the number one person in the room. He's the most graceful. He's the most, just genuinely good person to be around. But yet that never gets reported. He is just racist. Orange man bad. He's a narcissist. He's a fascist.
There's no doubt. There's a lot of that, Walter. Thank you, buddy. I mean, the one thing I can say on the flip side of that is that Trump would be well served to show that side of him publicly more frequently. That's it. But your point is well taken and right. Coming up, it is has it already been 5 years? Today, Jesse Jackson died, as we noted, 84 years old. And today is the 5-year anniversary of another very prominent person's death that I know many of you are fans of. We'll tell you who and look back on that next.
from Smithville to Shawnee Mission. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Can you believe 5 years ago today, Rush Limbaugh died? I saw that this morning in one of the newsletters I get, and I was like, man, 5 years to the day since Rush Limbaugh passed away. And anybody who listens to talk radio, left, right, in the middle, listen to Rush Limbaugh, right? Anyone who's done this at any point in time, whether it's hosting one show or hosting thousands of shows, obviously has listened to Rush Limbaugh. Whether you agreed or disagreed, you listened to him.
I don't think I ever heard his show.
I see what you did there, John.
Yep.
Well done. And there's still people to this day paper popping in honor of Rush. The problem is I have like 85 tabs open on a computer screen.
I was going to say, in the digital age, this is a little irrelevant, isn't it?
I don't do it because I don't have stacks of paper.
Right.
I have a Google Doc for this show. John and Mark have access to it. There's links all over the place.
That was actually the prop that I used to pop.
Yes.
Your document.
Yeah, John used my document that he prints out and I don't. I just have it on the screen. Which, by the way, if this whole thing crashes and burns, John's going to be in much better shape than me because I won't know where the show's going.
Analog and old school.
There you go. So I loved the paper pop. I grew to appreciate Rush Limbaugh. As a kid, I was more of a sports talk radio listener. But as I got to my mid-20s and I thought about making this change into the, more newsy space away from sports, I got to listening to Rush more and more and more. And the most misunderstood part I thought about Rush's legacy and what he was is that he was an entertainer and a radio guy first. And all he did was use news and politics as the avenue to be an entertainer. That's it. One of my mentors used to smoke cigars with Rush Limbaugh fairly frequently. And the big thing, people thought Rush Limbaugh just wanted to make sure that Republicans won races and that Republican policies got passed. And not that he wouldn't be happy if that happened, but one thing that he noted to this person, a friend of mine, was he would often say, I don't really care. Not that he wasn't passionate about it, but his goal was not to make you vote Republican. His goal was to use politics and news to be an entertainer. That's what he was. He was an entertainer. He wasn't a political figure. He was a radio guy who then used the news and used politics to entertain. And while I think all of us, as we, do this for a while, and, if I'm sitting in a chair doing this at 71, John will be 115.
Mm-hmm.
And, I plan on still being here, and I plan on you still being here, too, at that point. But, we all maybe get a little hardened in later years. But for the most part, Rush still had a smile on his face. There's this belief that Rush was like the bang the desk angry guy. I'm going to scream and yell. And
I'm getting pissed now.
Do his whole, Alex Jones impression or Alex Jones doing the Rush Limbaugh impression. But when he was at his best, you could hear the smile on his face. He was jovial. He was having a good time. There was nowhere else he wanted to be. Somebody once texted the show and they said, do you guys ever have a bad day? And the answer is yes. But when the mic's on, you don't really care if I'm having a bad day. Not that I won't share certain things with you when appropriate, but you're here to escape some of that. You want to escape some of that. And Rush always sounded like a guy, whether you agreed or disagreed with what he was saying, where there was no other place in the world that he wanted to be outside of behind that microphone, talking not to his audience. I think it's an important distinction, talking with his audience. And nobody did it better than him in terms of a single voice with the one microphone, talking to that audience and really conversing with that audience in an incredibly unique and powerful way that I'm not sure will ever be duplicated ever again because of the way that media has become so fragmented in recent years.
Yeah, there are certain things that are cultural icons. Jeff Christie is the name he used when he worked at KFIX at 106.5 here in the, I think it was late 70s, something like that. He worked for the Royals in the PR department at one point. And then he was on BZ in middays. And I thought, oh, this guy's pretty good. And then he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly he's back, and I'm like, what's going on here? Well, when he came back, he was on nationwide at that point.
Yes. And he gets syndicated out of Sacramento, and obviously the rest is history. And it was absolutely an incredible run. I don't believe with the media landscape we'll ever have anything else like it again. But I just want to always point out that the things I take away from Rush are not his politics, not what he thought about issue A, B, or C. I think about him talking about, by the way, Apple, his love of technology. He would nerd out on technology sometimes.
He had recordable CDs. I remember listening to a show, and he was talking about getting music recorded onto blank discs.
Exactly. That's when he was at his best in many respects. Oh, there you go, Mark. You did it. Mark broke it out. 5 years ago today, Rush Limbaugh died. And listen, if you're a listener, if you've done it, he made an impact on you some way, shape, or form. There's no doubt about it. Nice job there, Mark. Well done, my man. Coming up next, Ellen McNamara. You may recall she used to be an anchor on KCTV5 here in Kansas City. She's now in Phoenix. She has been all over the Nancy Guthrie case, including buying the backpack at the center of the controversy. She'll join us next. Man, this story is just up and down and back and forth. It's been like a roller coaster following the Nancy Guthrie case, which obviously has captivated the entire nation. And Ellen McNamara, many of you will remember when she was anchoring primetime on KCTV5. She left, and she'll confirm when that was. I would ballpark 3 years ago to go to Fox 10 in Phoenix. So she has been right there at the center of this story. Ellen, good morning. It's good to have you back on in Kansas City.
Oh, great to hear you, Pete. Yes, thanks so much. No, and oh my gosh, it's actually been longer than that. So 2021 is when I left. So yeah, it's like 5 years now.
Wow.
It's hard to believe.
Geez, that was a fast 5
flies.
years. That's unbelievable.
I know.
Oh my
I know,
goodness.
time flies.
So
I know, and you've had, how many kids have you had since?
Well, it depends on when you left in 21, because our second was born in May of 21, and then the third was born March of 24.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, time flies. Absolutely.
It's been quite a run. So you're doing great things there in Phoenix, but you're all over the story, obviously. So for those of us back here in Kansas City, what's a development of late that you think has been maybe overlooked in national media circles around the Nancy Guthrie case?
Oh man, it's crazy, Pete, because I feel like this is a case that nothing has been overlooked, right? I mean, it's one of those stories that I compare it to the JonBenet Ramsey case, almost 30 years ago. And I say that it's like the JonBenet Ramsey case of our time, but it's almost worse as far as the media attention goes. Not only do you have national media, but now you also have bloggers who are showing up and influencers who are showing up with their iPhones who are covering the story too. So the amount of attention on it is like nothing I've ever seen in my entire life, besides the JonBenet Ramsey case.
Yeah.
The big development on Monday was the fact that the Pima County Sheriff cleared the siblings. So cleared Savannah, cleared her brother Cameron, and cleared her sister Annie. And also their spouses said that these people, they're not suspects, and leave them alone. And any kind of rumor that they're involved is cruel. That was a pretty big development, because there have been a lot of online rumors that maybe they did have some involvement. Maybe her sister or brother-in-law had some kind of involvement. And so that was a big development that the sheriff flat out said on Monday, sorry guys, they're not involved. So right now we're just kind of waiting. We're waiting for DNA testing to come back. And I think that once that does come back, I think that there's going to be some arrests. So there was a glove that was found about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. And then there was also a DNA profile from inside her home. And we don't know, so we don't have no idea what the inside of her home looks like. We've never gotten any leaks about it. We just know that there were some blood droplets on the front porch of her home. But inside, we have no idea what it looks like. And then all we know is that there was some kind of DNA profile that is not Nancy's that has been sent out to a lab. So we're waiting right now on the lab results to come back. Mm-hmm. And hopefully the person is in the database. Hopefully they have a criminal history. And if so, then that means it's kind of a slam dunk, right? Mm-hmm. And then arrest can happen. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. And then in the meantime, there was a backpack, if you guys have seen the video that was released, about more than a week now, where the suspect was wearing a backpack. It's been identified as a Walmart exclusive brand, an Ozark Trail 25-liter backpack, only sold at Walmart. It's only $10. It's a pretty small backpack. And so law enforcement is working exclusively with Walmart to try to figure out if this person went and bought it. And they have this crazy technology that, they can figure out exactly who bought these backpacks. Was it in the Tucson area? Did they maybe buy it online? Who bought it online? So there is the technology. So I feel like, a lot of people are, it's day 17 and people are going, man, the sheriff's office or these people are incompetent, but it does take time. And DNA, obviously the testing does take time as well to get some results.
Ellen McNamara was an anchor, of course, for many years here on KCTV5. She's now at Fox 10 in Phoenix, so she's right there covering this Nancy Guthrie case. So In Pima County in particular, I mean, some of the weird stuff, not weird, but I guess the timeline on all this. You know, you had the sheriff coming out a couple of days ago saying that nobody's been cleared. But then yesterday he's like, the family's cleared and any insinuation otherwise is completely out of line, which is fine. But like, I don't know. It just seems like the leadership there as it relates to the family in particular has been very much stop and go. And there's been a lot of gray area in terms of how they've handled the family in particular. Is that a fair criticism as, you know, you're right down the road there following the story?
Well, so I will tell you that there's definitely friction between the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI. There's no secret that there is friction between both departments. And it really came to a head when Sheriff Nanos was spotted at the U of A basketball game more than a week ago. So we're in the middle of this crazy search for Nancy Guthrie, and Sheriff Nanos pops up at the U of A basketball game. And obviously the U of A is, you know, ranked number 1. Texas Tech just beat them, but the U of A at the time was ranked number 1. He's at the basketball game. So that's not a good look. And that really, really ticked a lot of folks off, not only in the sheriff's department, but also in the FBI as well.
So
does
that at all date back to also the RICO investigation the DOJ did into Pima County back in 2017? Is there still beef from that, or is that water under the bridge?
I don't know, Pete. I think you'd have to ask more people within the department. I think you'd have to ask more, you know, at the feds. I mean, you have to understand too that, you know, typically, I will tell you this, typically Pima County, and just because of the region that it is in, they usually work really well with the feds. That is kind of the way it's always been because they're close to the border. And so from our experience, I mean, anytime we've gone down there to cover a story, they do really, from, you know, outside looking in, they do a decent job with coordination with the FBI, with the feds, with Border Patrol. I mean, it's like they welcome them, you know? So it was interesting early on where we heard about the friction and some of the infighting. The sheriff denied it last week. He denied it on Friday, saying that that was ridiculous. It wasn't accurate. So, you know, but I know, I mean, and I have talked to some law enforcement experts who have said they couldn't figure out why the crime scene was, you know, turned back over to the family so quickly. They were kind of going, wow, that seems like it was a little premature. So, you know, but there's going to be Monday morning quarterbacking with this case until it's solved. I mean, frankly.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we don't know. And we don't know, you know, we don't know who did it. We don't know the motive. And maybe it is kind of a Brian Kohberger type case where someone is going to get busted and it's all going to come together. And I think we hope that that's the case. But there's definitely some politics going on right now. And you know, he has a political sign by his name. So if somebody doesn't want him to run again, or someone wants him out of office and they feel like he is not doing a good job, then they're gonna try to point that out right now, which is clearly happening.
It seems like the DNA being sent to Florida versus being used locally at an FBI location has also gotten some attention and blowback. Is that also politics, Ellen, or is there something else and another reason and explanation for that?
Yeah, so that, according to the sheriff, they have always sent their DNA to this particular lab in Florida. And we spoke with a familial DNA expert just last night on the news. And she said this lab is like top of the line. It's a great lab. And she was saying that if there's not a hit in the criminal database at this particular lab, that they have phenomenal, like, familial DNA experts at this lab who can start the process of trying to figure out what family member might be connected to the suspect. So she knew about the lab, knew that this is a phenomenal lab. Now, yeah, there have been some federal law enforcement experts who have said that they wished it had gone elsewhere. But according to Pima County, this is a lab that they've always sent their evidence to. So you have kind of one side saying one thing, the other side saying another. And, that's kind of where we're at. And I think maybe one federal law enforcement expert said that there might be like a 1-day delay potentially if they had sent it elsewhere. But that's kind of what we know. I mean, again, the woman that we spoke with last night had rave reviews about this lab in Florida.
Okay, interesting. Ellen McNamara spent many years here at KCTV5, now at Fox 10 in Phoenix. Ellen, great stuff. Really appreciate your local perspective on this and would love to stay in touch as the story unfolds. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, great to hear you. And absolutely. Hope everyone's doing well in KC. And hopefully there's some resolution with this story. And obviously for the family, for Savannah, it's just awful, just horrible.
No doubt about it. We'll be in touch. Thanks so much, Ellen.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Pete.
All right. See you later. Ellen McNamara, now Fox 10 in Phoenix, formerly KCTV5 here on KCMO. Text line, Pete, would anybody who wasn't this famous get this much attention? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, it's because of the people involved, that has helped amplify the story. There's no doubt about it, right? But you think about the John Benet Ramsey and some of these other disappearances, murder mystery stories that have happened. America gets captivated by them. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But true crime, whether it's in podcasting, whether it's on HLN with Forensic Files running all day, I mean, these shows do well for a reason. Murder mystery podcasts, true crime podcasts are at the top of the podcast list. People get fascinated by these stories. And I agree, there have been certain days over the last 17 where there's nothing new. The last couple of days, there has been a lot of movement because I think now it's fair to question what the heck's going on in Pima County. Sunday, it's we haven't cleared anybody. And then yesterday, it's we have cleared the family and any suggestion otherwise is defamatory. And this morning, I just saw this Sheriff Nanos telling a KOLD, a TV station in Tucson, that they cleared the Guthrie family in the first few days. I mean, this guy's all over the map. They can't get a story straight. It's a terrible look. 913-408-7957. Speaking of terrible looks, got something in the mail yesterday that is tied to what's going to be one of the top stories in the Kansas City area for the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have those details coming up next.
Vince Colonnese here, and I'm coming up at 11 after Kevin Keatsman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Got my little ballot in the mail yesterday on Olathe schools looking for $400 million. So here's how the question was submitted. Mark, did you get your ballot yet? Your mail-in ballot for the
Not
big
yet.
question? Okay.
Maybe today.
Yeah, maybe today's your lucky day. The question is, shall the following be adopted? Shall the Unified School District number 233, Johnson County, Kansas, Olathe, issue general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $389 million? Boy, so nice of them, huh? Keep it under that 389 number, right?
Such a nice man.
To purchase and improve sites and acquire, construct, equip, furnish, repair, remodel. Any other verb they want to squeeze in there that they haven't yet? And make additions to buildings used for school district purposes, including acquisition of new and upgraded computer and communications technology, and all necessary improvements related thereto in the district, and to pay related fees and expenses, all pursuant to the provisions of blah, 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 blah law. Yes or no? So Olathe has admitted that they have had declining enrollment in their schools since 2019. They peaked at 2019 at about 30,000 students. They're now down 1,700 students since 2019. This despite the fact that they have seen population growth of about 7-8% over that period of time. So they've grown 7-8%, and they've lost about 7-8% of their population for students. And now they're saying we need $389 million to purchase and improve sites and acquire, construct, equip, furnish, repair, remodel. That's quite a remodel at $400 million. That's a heck of a remodel.
Trump could do something with that money.
I'm pretty sure he could do a better job spending the money. He could probably do this for half the cost, maybe even less.
He's critiquing Jerome Powell's remodeling effort, remember?
Yeah. I mean, that was a, billion-dollar deal at the Federal Reserve. By the way, think about that. The Federal Reserve had a billion-dollar remodel and facelift. Olathe Public Schools single-handedly wants about half of that. If you are an Olathe resident, or I know that not everybody who votes is simply an Olathe resident. You can be in Lenexa and be someone voting on this if you're in the school district. How can you not step back and just look at this, right? Look at the verbiage here and say, okay, purchase and improve sites. What does that mean? What are you purchasing and why? If you're down in student enrollment, you're not growing, so what are you purchasing?
You know that Chief site over there, that new Chief site around, Ridgeview and College?
Yeah.
They're going to build to help the Olathe schools there, right?
Yeah.
Along with the Chief site. Will that go towards that at all?
No.
Suggest?
No, I did ask that of some people in Olathe.
Okay.
And they said that there was none of this money would be going towards the College and Ridgeview site. Listen, that whole thing, I don't want to get off on the tangent, but as I understand it, that was just a way to buy some goodwill with Olathe residents by saying, hey, we're going to have this cool little practice facility field, and maybe for like a big playoff game, you guys can use that facility like they do down in Dallas at the Star in Frisco, where high school football gets played sometimes in that Star facility. So that's it. But I did ask that. I said, does any of this money potentially go towards that site? And I was told by people I trust, not people I don't trust, but people I trust, that no, it's not going towards that site. But then you're talking about constructing, equipping, furnishing, repairing, and remodeling. And it's like, okay, what, some AC units need upgrades? $389 million? Are you kidding me?
Don't think we need any constructing right now with the shrinkage.
What are you constructing? And if you're combining schools because of a shrinking enrollment, then maybe you got to tweak around the edges. I can understand that. But this price point, wow. I mean, I can't wait to put this thing back in the mail. I really can't. And I've never done a mail-in ballot. I was thinking about this. I don't think I've ever voted for anything by mail. So I'm kind of excited, I guess. I don't know if there's a way to track that it actually got there, to be honest.
I would drive to the main post office at least. Don't put it in the box with the flag up.
I may take the satisfaction of just delivering it somewhere.
That's it.
Okay? I'm not trusting USPS right now. Are you? Not when my grandma sends me a birthday card that shows up 4 weeks late. Sorry, sir, your vote didn't count. You know, the USPS got it lost in the mail. Yeah, I'm going to hand deliver this sucker right to the superintendent. That's what I'm going to do. Maybe he'll be on the street corner protesting with his wife who's mad about ICE being in Olathe, which she posted on her Facebook page over the weekend. That was a very bad look, given what Olathe is being asked to chip in right now. Alex, real quick, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Mundo, all these school districts are absolutely ridiculous. I'm just kind of catching the tail end of this. They're telling you they ain't going to use the money for this and that, but that's horse malarkey. Out here at USD 458, based for Linwood, they ask for bonds all the time. They'll get a bond. Any extra money, quote unquote extra money, they'll use for accessory things. They'll put new turf on a football field. They'll put new lights at a middle school. And Olathe is going to do the same darn thing that every single one of these school districts is doing. And until everybody gets up and, raises their hand and throws a fit about it, they're going to keep on doing it and quit voting yes on bonds.
Well said, Alex. While the proficiency rates at Olathe North for English language arts and math under 40%, according to the Kansas Policy Institute. You're exactly right. And DeSoto's got one coming up, too, by mail. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's a $100 million bond issue. Our caller of the day, and we'll update you on a big story you're only going to get here next on KCMO.
From Lenexa to Lee Summit, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Want to get to our caller of the day, and then I'll give you an update on this warehouse fire that happened in South Kansas City last week. This was the location that was being considered as an ICE detention facility. It got lit on fire by a crazy lady on Thursday afternoon. But first, we'll get to our caller of the day.
Hello? It's the Mundo in the Morning Caller of the Day on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
913-408-7957. Phones are open on a Tirade Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's not Monday. Get them in. Now's your chance. We got a few minutes left here on KCMO Talk Radio to do that for you this segment, this time of the week. We set it aside. 913-408-7957. Let's go to Paul in Kansas City. Paul, go.
Hey, my tirade is that the radicalized arsonist has not been brought into custody. We don't know who she is. I saw on Channel 9 this morning. They said, we don't know who she is, law enforcement. And I listened to your interview with the police chief, and that's a great job getting that murderer after 2 days. You still haven't got that arsonist that tried to burn those brothers' property down. That is it's a shame.
Well, and thank you for that. I admit that one skipped my mind based on the conversation this morning. What I gathered on Friday, just real quick, and then I'll get to more tirades here, is that there was someone that they had identified and were planning to arrest as of Friday. So it's just not getting as much attention. I should follow up, and I'll let you know what I find.
I appreciate it, Pete.
All right.
Brother.
Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate that. Paul in Kansas City, our caller of the day. Now the update on this story that I got from some folks in law enforcement. So as I noted to Paul, and I had this on Friday, they know who it is. Now, that's not the official statement, but from law enforcement sources, they're telling me detectives have identified a subject of interest. I can tell you they know who it is. And right now, they're working with prosecutors for their consideration of applicable charges. No warrant yet, but working that way. That's what I heard from folks in law enforcement after talking to Paul last hour. So here's my hope. My hope is that Melissa Johnson, the Jackson County prosecutor, who I have been high on, now maybe too high because she's replacing Gene Peters Baker. Okay, it's like replacing somebody in the batting order who's batting $170. Anyone looks better. But I will say she's done a good job. She's been on this show. She's done a very good job. She was not my preferred candidate in the Jackson County prosecutor's race last year, but she's definitely exceeded expectations. I will give her that. She's been much tougher on crime than I anticipated. That's great. But she also, I think, had no choice. Things were so out of control in Jackson County, she had to get tough on crime. And she's been tough on low-level crime, which is good because guess what? Low-level criminals oftentimes live lives of crime that lead to more violent crimes. I mean, it's just since the beginning of time. But this thing has been so political. Mayor Lucas has been so political on this. And remember, Melissa Johnson is the Jackson County prosecutor because of Quinton Lucas. Not just because he backed her, but there was monetary involvement there as well. He handpicked her to be the Jackson County prosecutor. If he wants to hyper-politicize this thing, which he has shown every intention of doing since last week, then is there pressure in the Jackson County prosecutor's office to not have any serious charges in this case? I don't know, but it's just something to watch because I'm telling you, they had this thing locked down on Friday morning. They've known who it is since last week. Okay? They've known who it is since last week. And that is something that unfortunately fell by the wayside and people did not come to the conclusion of and realize that, you know what, they've got to go about doing this the right way. They have to take care of this thing and they have to make sure they get people into custody. And they got to do it now. 913-408-7957 is how you join us on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. Streaming, as always, on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Let's go to Independence. Last night, city council meeting took place, and there's a lot of drama around a data center potentially going up in Independence. You had a packed City Hall last night, people on both sides of this thing, and here is part of what it sounded like from Channel 41.
We, the citizens, are tired of broken promises and tired of feeling ignored by our city officials.
While many others hope Independence takes advantage of an opportunity for new construction jobs.
I don't know who in the world would turn down $150 billion worth of work. I know Kansas will take it. They took the Chiefs Stadium. We have to fight for this. We have to make this happen.
And tax revenue for schools.
Independence School District is projected to receive approximately nearly $500 million.
It's eerily similar to some of what you heard in Olathe 2 weeks ago on the Chiefs project. Eerily, it's the same thing. Big time promises, new construction, lots of jobs. Who would turn this thing down? Oh, the revenue for the schools is a no-brainer. It's the same exact playbook. Except in this case, what you get are data centers that produce very few jobs. I mean, the average data center is 30 to 100 jobs. Don't tell me about construction jobs. Those jobs can go anywhere, right? They can go to anything. It's the same old thing with big promises, big revenues. It's going to help keep your taxes down. This is the kind of stuff we want to be doing. And, oh, by the way, the schools are going to benefit big time. It's how they get this stuff through. They'll vote on this in 2 weeks in Independence. My guess, if I was just spitballing here, my guess is that this ends up passing. I don't think it's going to be all that close. I didn't play this clip, but there's a clip from last night's package on Channel 41 where I don't know. I tried to figure out who this person was. They had a clip of a lady. I don't know if she's in city government from an administrative side or if she's an elected official, but they didn't have her name on the bottom of the screen. But she goes, it's the same thing out of Olathe, right? Well, if we don't put that there, there's no tax revenue generated out of this place. So something is better than nothing. And these data centers, though, man, I mean, you know, you're starting to see this kind of pop up around the country. Kansas City has 31 of these things. Mayor Lucas was on national news talking about this 2 Sundays ago when he was on CBS. And the anchor, Margaret Brennan, she was like, I can't believe you guys have 31 of these things. And the mayor's like, yeah, it's kind of controversial. Why? Jobs are low. The electric bills go up in the areas of town that they're based in. And also, there's a tremendous amount of water that is needed at these data centers to keep these computers cooled down. So between the water bill, the electric bill, and the lack of jobs that come out of the projects, they're not highly sought after. You also had this happening in Miami County, Kansas, where there's a push to have a big-time data center located up there as well. So this is going to be, and I know we need these things. I know that, you know, technology is obviously not just here. It's an undeniable part of the future. But this feels like, to me, kind of like the wind turbine debate that really picked up, 5 to 10 years ago or so. And it's calmed down because the Trump administration has put the kibosh on a lot of that, which is a good thing. And I'm glad they did that. But now these data centers are the things that city councils are really like, you know, looking at and saying, oh, this is great. They want to take over these empty pieces of land and build on it. And maybe one day there's tax revenue that comes out of it. And it's like, guys, come on. Read the room here. Do your residents want it? Does the windfall of tax money actually ever come to fruition? Or is it all just pie in the sky promises? Coming up next on KCMO Talk Radio, I stumbled upon a clip yesterday on YouTube. And some of you have probably heard this clip. It's a famous speech. It's a famous clip. And I just wanted to end the show with this to share it with you. Coming up next on KCMO.
On Tuesday's Guy Benson Show, Taylor Riggs of Fox Business is here on economic policy. Coming up at 2 o'clock on 95.7 KCMO.
Oh, she's a good guest, Taylor Riggs. Look forward to hearing her on Guy Benson Show. Coming up 2 to 5 here on KCMO. Keatsman at 10. And then, of course, at 11, it's the Vin Show. Talking about data centers. Independence, there's a push for one there, combined with the push for one in Miami County, Kansas. Eli, go ahead.
Hey, Pete. Hey, yeah, I was just gonna ask. Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the school districts, they're allowed to tax? Sin tax goes to the schools. Marijuana tax and gambling taxes all go to the school. How much more money do we need to give the schools? And is the money even making it to the schools? It seems like it pulls on the heartstrings to get something passed rather than the schools actually getting the money.
Well, you're absolutely right in my book, man. I've got no argument with everything that you just said. The question is it getting to the schools? Yes. The better question is it getting to the classroom? And that answer overwhelmingly to me appears to be no.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, but it's a way to your point, whether it's the Chiefs in Olathe or the data center in Independence, it is a way to tug at the heartstrings and say, we're here to also help the schools. Don't worry, we're going to help the schools. Who doesn't want to help the kids? The kids can't read, they can't write, but don't worry. Don't worry, they're here to help. All right, Eli?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, if I'm one of the casino owners and I say, hey, if these guys are helping the schools, are we done?
Yeah.
Because that was the pitch to bring the boats to Kansas City all those years ago. Got to help the schools.
I mean, anything government wants to get done that's mildly controversial, they say, don't worry, there's a windfall for the kids. Despite all these windfalls over the last, several decades supposedly going to the kids, and the results are worse than ever.
Oh, you should see the place after that COVID money came in to fix the ventilation.
I
right?
know. That's right. Yeah. What happened to that money, man? That was billions of dollars. I think it was like $20 billion for schools to upgrade their ventilation systems.
Schools in Somalia.
Yeah.
Actually.
Right. The old quality Leering centers, right? That's right. The old quality Leering centers. Oh, my gosh. All right. It is going to be quite a day. You've got Jerome Tang-less Kansas State Wildcats. How about that? The Jerome Tang-less Kansas State Wildcats playing tonight. You've got now Tang hiring a big-time attorney. So suddenly, I can't think of the last time two teams took the court in college basketball with a combined record of 4-20, and it had a lot of appeal to it and intrigue to it. But that's what we've got tonight in Manhattan.
Intrigue, yeah.
Yeah, there's intrigue between two teams that are a combined 4-20 in Big 12 play. Go figure. I can't wait. I never thought I'd say it, but I can't wait to watch it tonight. I want to see what the students are doing in that student section, and I just want to see how it plays out. Now, I'll end the show with this. I saw this clip. I just stumbled upon this clip yesterday. You know how sometimes YouTube just starts feeding you new clips, right? You listen to something and then it just goes into the next thing.
Yep.
They want to keep you on those platforms, man. They want to keep you addicted. So it was a speech from Billy Graham, and it was a speech that he delivered in 1991 at the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And it's a famous speech by him that's called Life is Short. And I think we all have these moments, whether you're my age or you're 25 years older or you're maybe in the car with your mom or dad right now and 25 years younger. You don't realize this. You don't think about it often. The days are long. The years are fast. We hear those cliches all the time, right? And when you got little kids like I do, you especially feel this way. But then when you really put it into perspective, it's real fast. Everything about it is so quick. And one thing that Billy Graham notes in this 2-minute clip I want to play to wrap up the show is that despite the fact that we have more technology, and he delivered this in 1991, think about how much more technology we have today, 35 years later. Despite all the advancements technologically, it feels like we have less time than ever. And he was saying that 35 years ago. Isn't that even more true today than 35 years ago? Here he was, Billy Graham, Life is Short speech, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in September of 1991. And it feels like this clip not only rings true today, but it's arguably even more true today.
You know, we've invented all of these modern things to save time, and we have less time than ever before. We have a lot less time now than my father and mother had in the horse and buggy days. And yet we have fast automobiles and fast airplanes, and we're running from place to place like mad people. And most of us don't know what we're going to do when we get there. Time is collapsing on us. How much longer do we have? You have so much time, but for what? You have time to serve Christ. You have time to live according to His will. You have time to obey Him. Have you done like the psalmist said in 31:15 and put yourself at God's disposal when He said, "My times are in your hands"? And what are you going to do with those years? Each human being has exactly the same number of hours and minutes every day. Do you know how many minutes there are in a day? 1,440. Do you know how many hours there are in a week? 168. Now, if you live to be 70, your first 15 is childhood or adolescence. You spend 20 years in bed. The last 5 years, the physical limitations, and you're curtailing your activities. That means you only have 30 years left for everything else. 30 years to live. And part of that time has to be spent eating and working and figuring up your income tax. The scripture asks this question: what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. Our time is already in God's hands. God has a day already set for your being taken from this world. It may be in an accident. It may be a cancer. It may be a heart attack. Whatever it is, it's already set. You will stand before the great judgment of God to give an account of how you spent this life.
That speech, "Life is Short," from Billy Graham, delivered in East Rutherford, New Jersey in September of 1991, is as good as it gets to put all of what we do every single day into perspective. And I'm not trying to have you go out there today and try to race Father Time, because you can't do it. But it does make you value every second, every minute, every hour of every day that we are blessed to live in the greatest country in the history of mankind at what still is, I believe, the greatest time in the history of mankind. We got problems. There's no doubt about it. We got problems. But you know what? We've got a lot to be grateful for. And with that, we'll see you tomorrow. Kevin Keatsman, Uncanceled, is coming up next right here on KCMO Talk Radio.